Good afternoon and welcome, everybody. This would be the Jeff Cameron Show right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Good Monday to you and yours. Appreciate you tuning in. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. Try not to miss things. Sometimes you miss things. That's why we post all 3 hours both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. Upon the conclusion of the show, you can always email us as well, jcs@979espnradio.com. Find me on Twitter at jcameronshow, WTSM app good for your mobile devices. We're on YouTube. Go check us out on YouTube. Fun to watch the show, I suppose. Sometimes it is. Animated and all, as it is. Go to YouTube, type in ESPN Tallahassee. Hello, YouTubers. WTSM app, as we say, for the mobile devices, as I mentioned. And are we periscoping today? We doing that too?
That's what we started.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, a little periscoping. You go to the 97.9 or ESPN Tallahassee 97.9 feed, whatever there with the Twitter account. You'll find it. Follow that and watch the show that way. All right, so the Super Bowl is set, and unless you're a Patriots fan, the rest of us are distraught that yet again that's happened. That's happened again. I mean, God, dog, it's happened again. And it didn't have to be. Jacksonville.
No, they
had that game the way you wanted it.
And they had drawn it up. It kind of reminded me, and I didn't think it would turn out where the usual winner wins again. But I was saying when Jacksonville held a multi-score lead, oh, this is just like what Georgia did in the national title game. They're like the boa constrictor taking the life out of this game. Then the usual winner won again.
Yeah. Well, that quarterback is pretty good. Tends to make some plays, when they got to be made. Tends to make some plays. Well, listen, we'll get into the crux of all this. There's not a lot to break down in the Philadelphia-Minnesota game. Basically, Patrick Robinson's pick six sent Minnesota down a path to hell. I mean, that game quickly turned into you are no longer competitive. And Case Keenum realized who he was, and Philadelphia's defense dominated, and then we were done playing here. And Nick Foles figured on being Joe Montana for the day. So there you go. That game is there. We've captured it. Moving on.
We have audio of the pick six.
Don't worry. We can just transfer money from your account into a portfolio with your son, and it's gone.
Yeah, that's it. It was 7-0. It was a hell of a start to the game. 75-yard drive, capped off by a touchdown. Minnesota's got things going on the road, and then that happens, and we're done playing football today. Impressive, Philadelphia. Impressive, Foles. Now, back to Jacksonville, which today there are a lot of Jags fans listening to the show with heavy hearts for a myriad of reasons, too. This playoff run began to look like something that was supposed to happen. They were sort of enforcing their will, how physical they were on defense, running the football, and getting enough out of Blake Bortles, right? Just getting enough out of Blake Bortles. And you think, you know what? How about this? How about this team? How about their attitude? How about their belief? But in the end, I think they were more worried in the second half, Jacksonville was, about their own quarterback than they were about the opposing Hall of Fame quarterback. And it was evident in the play calling in the second half of that football game. And, when you don't play to win, what actually ends up happening, of course, is what you saw happen all too often.
Yeah, I think it's the sequence in the first half that undoes Jacksonville there. It's, you got to delay a game on a third down play that would have been a first down because everyone continued to play.
Coming out of a timeout?
Coming out of a timeout.
You cannot have a delay of game coming out of a timeout. And it's the number one thing, as if I may, since you brought it up.
Yeah.
Because it's on my notes, my mini notes that I was writing
the
through.
Notepad.
Well, you know what? I have this for those watching on YouTube. This is an old, when is this one? This is the 2016 ACC Championship.
Oh, there you go.
Notepad.
It's a Swaffy gift.
Yeah, it is. Championship game, Dr. Pepper. Sponsored. I have tons of these, right? And so anyhow, while I was watching both games, I was jotting my notes And one of the things I wrote there was no, 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 no. And in parentheses, I wrote, that's the stuff that pissed us off about Jimbo Fisher the last 2 years. That a guy whose attention to detail is legendary would allow for having to call timeouts coming out of a timeout or getting delay of games out of timeouts, things that just can't happen and don't happen for well-coached teams. And in crucial situations, they really – week 5 against the Jets in the second quarter, you live to fight another day. This is the AFC Championship game. That can't happen.
Yeah, and it takes points off the board because you just got a first down.
Yeah.
You're going to kick a field goal. Lambeau is what a find he's been, especially in the playoffs. Everything is dead down the middle, it seems. And he had a big kick in this game to push it to 10, 20-10.
So then it's a sack, and then it's a punt, and then New England goes down and scores.
Right, and you have the penalty call, the Gronkowski one. That's the way it is, man. That's going to be called every single time.
Has to be called. I don't like it, but that's the way of the world, man. You can't ask people to adjust their head, but if they're going to make that rule and they're going to abide by that rule, then they have to call it like that. And that's what happens.
By that code, that's 100% a penalty.
It is. I mean, I'm always, you know me from listening to this show, I side with the defender on that play, but it doesn't matter. The rule's the rule. They got to call that.
Yeah, that wasn't even nebulous,
given
the rule book the way it is.
It's a stupid rule, but they got to call it.
Now, the pass interference is a load of you-know-what. That 35-yard pass interference, 31, whatever it is.
Here's what I don't like. And this is the problem with the rule in the league. You put too much onus on officials, A, for that call. B, it's too penal. We've got to stop doing this. People shouldn't be able to get 35 to 50 yards in chunks on a penalty for interference. The NFL needs to adopt the college rule on pass interference. That's ridiculous because it puts too much pressure on an official, and you know half the time that you watch interference, it could or it could not. It just depends on the angle and in the moment. And more often than not, obviously, if you're rooting for a certain outcome, you're angry when they call that. Yeah. If you're rooting for the other outcome, good call, good call. And the average NFL fan who really has no dog in the hunt there would say, I don't know what's interference anymore. What's a catch anymore? This is part of the problem with the rules.
You've got 50-50 hand fighting there, and you have a defender using the boundary just as you're taught to use it.
Believe me, I know what I would have called or not called in that situation, but I've seen that call made. If they believe you're forcing him out of bounds, they're going to call that. Yeah. He obviously believed that he was. I don't. I think that was really good defense. You're taught to lean. It was a smart play. I don't think they're calling the hands. I don't think that's what the problem is. He's saying he's forced him out of bounds.
Right, which is what you're taught to do, which is crazy.
Within reason, you're taught anyhow. But
I think if Butler does that on Lee, we don't have that call made in that situation in the first half. I'll leave it there. I'm not a big conspiracy theorist, but I think that one's pretty simple.
He may have missed that call.
You have to win and then some when you play New England if you're a new kid on the block.
Yeah, but I don't think that's why Jacksonville lost.
No,
I think.
But that's a 10-point swing at the end of a half. Some that you did because you're stupid and you don't know how to manage a situation.
Mm-hmm.
And then you give up the touchdown because, that's what Tom Brady does. And if you give them a little bit of room to wriggle off the hook, they will.
You see the stat? That's the amazing thing about the Patriots and Tom Brady, and it's really part of his legend. And I'm paraphrasing now because I didn't write this one down. I was in the kitchen. I was cooking while I was watching that game. But one of the things I'll tell you, I think a stat popped up. You may remember it about the ends of half scoring for the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. It's something ridiculous. Like 18 of the last 22 playoff games he's played in or whatever, they score at the end of halves. I mean, it's nuts in the last 2 minutes. They always score.
Yeah, and
remember Jimbo Fisher's mantra about that?
Sure, it's like a daily double, right? Mm-hmm. Before you ever touch the ball again, it's been an hour and 14 more points are on the scoreboard for us. We're trying to do the same thing these days with our college football program, but we're trying to do it in about 90 seconds of football.
That's right.
90 football seconds. Then you kneel to end the half because you're content with the lead, but momentum is squarely on New England's side at the time that you're putting your knee to the turf.
Yeah.
That's the hard part about that decision.
I don't like the message that sends either.
If you're up 14-0 in that moment or 17-0 in that moment, kneel away, whatever. It's probably still a questionable decision, but in that moment, given what had just happened and the 10-point swing that occurred,
right.
You don't know it's going to come back to bite him. In fact, in the third quarter, it looks like Jacksonville's going to cruise anyway. But still, that was the sequence of the game to me where it was lost.
First down runs in the fourth quarter. And I go back to this because, I get that you're not going to put the game in Blake Bortles' hands, but they were calling plays in which they showed they were downright fearful of what he would do in that fourth quarter. Because if you go back and look, they get the turnover and they run the ball in front. What they were doing is making Blake Bortles throw the ball on third down and long. Now, he converted one, but they were making him do that. And if you're scared of your quarterback, which, A, is not a good message, and you got to play to win against that team, like you just got done saying, you got to do a little bit more. All right, so if you know that going in, and I always use the analogy to a big-time heavyweight fight, when you got to beat the champion, you're not going to do it on points. They're not giving you the decision.
Yeah.
You got to knock him out. So you can't play scared. And this is where experience matters, and this is where confidence matters for a team, for a coach, for a quarterback. They frequently asked him to throw the ball after running the ball on 1st and 10, which is the most beneficial time to throw for a quarterback. You're going to get an honest defense. Instead, they ran and would set up 2nd and 9 because at this point, New England had figured out the Jacksonville running game, and it was no longer happening for them. And they're holding on for dear life, and you could feel it, and it's the worst feeling in the world to watch from afar when you're rooting for a certain outcome like I was, which is I wanted Jacksonville to win. 2nd and 9, 3rd and 7. Now he's got to throw the ball. You don't trust him to begin with, which is why you were calling those runs, but you certainly can't put the ball in his hands in that situation. Not that he turned it over. It's just that the success rate is really low in that situation.
Yeah, and I can, remember as Brady's starting the drive down 10 points, and Romo says, all right, here you go. Greatest of all time, down 10. Number one weapon is not available to him against the number one pass defense in the league. Let's see what happens here. The moment they get it to 3, it feels like New England's already winning the football game, doesn't it?
Immediately.
Yeah.
And then we get back to conservative play calls, and now you're punting. They're getting the ball at the 50. They get a nice return. You're going to lose the game, and you know it. And every Jacksonville fan knows that, too, watching that situation. That's just tough, man. I think you, at some point in one of those series, in one of those series in the fourth quarter or the sequence late in the third, I think there's an opportunity to say, well, you know what? I'm going to go down swinging. I mean, you just watched New England come back from down 28-3 in the Super Bowl against a much better team than Jacksonville. You got to do that, man. You got to play to win the game. I get it, though. I get it because that defense is so good.
Yeah, you're up 10. He's got to go to length of the field.
But he's going to.
In that moment.
That's why he's the best.
Right, that's the drive, though. Like if for Jacksonville, the sequence they lost, it was the final couple of minutes of the first half. When New England won it is down 10, Brady goes the length of the field, and they get it to 3 because especially in that building. It's not a neutral site, man. That's the home digs.
Well, and it's amazing. By the way, in the other game, a couple of things stood out that really is impressive. So Minnesota begins that game, 9 plays, 75 yards, touchdown. And that's exactly how you script it. That's exactly how you start a game on the road. That's exactly what you do to play to your defense, which has been so good all season long. And now you're going to put Nick Foles in the situation. And then the early turnovers and, the pick 6 changes the momentum immediately. And from there, we go, it's 7-7. Well, then Philly earns one and goes down and scores, makes it 14-7. Then you get the strip sack fumble, and the game is over.
Yes.
I mean, the game is over at that
moment, yes.
Yeah, it's over. But I wanted to commend Philadelphia. They go 10 of 14 on third down against the best third down defense the NFL's seen in 40 years.
Yeah. It felt like 14 of 14, to be honest.
But that is I wrote that down, and I was looking at it. I had to relook at it. I couldn't believe it.
Note to Vikings, do you want to try something different with Ertz on third down? Because, I don't know, leaving him in man in those situations, after about the 6th time you get burned on it, you may not want to do it anymore. And I'll say, man, at 7-0, even at 7-0, I was a little worried for Minnesota before the pick. Because, and that's as self-evident because it was a pick 6. There was not a short drive.
Good for Patrick Robinson, by the way.
There were a couple of coverage busts now for Minnesota on the Eagles' first punt. And you go, whoa, okay, so they're moving the pile. I mean, the trenches are being won by Philly.
That's correct.
And there are a couple of coverage busts on top of this. Minnesota, they're up 7-0, but I'm looking at the sustainability of the trenches, and I'm going, Man, every time Minnesota's running, even if they hit it for 4, Murray's got to cut back about 6 yards.
He's got to do a bunch of stuff.
Right, to get 3 or 4 yards.
Yeah.
Whereas it looks awfully easy for Philadelphia to sustain something on the ground.
Listening to Philadelphia's defensive players talk after the game, and every one of them saying to a man, we did what we've done all year long, which is we shut down the run game and force you to throw behind the chains, and we think if we do that, we're going to win every time. And, I mean, sometimes football's that simple. It just is. And it would be great to see if they could make that happen here in the Super Bowl.
And in the early handicapping of the Super Bowl, this does look similar to the formula that New England lost twice to, right? With the Giants, you got a good defensive line, an above-average pass rush.
Yeah, it does. It's just really hard to bet against New England and bet against Tom Brady and bet. Again, we look at the matchup. And we say, okay, I like Philadelphia's defensive line against New England's offensive line. I like that matchup. But I also think I like New England's defense with the way that they've played in the second half of the season and shutting down the run game against teams. They're no longer the team that had the woeful statistics against the run. That's not who they are.
Yeah.
And so, when you look at that, you say, well, if they shut down Philadelphia's run game, it's going to be Brady's versus Foles.
Right, and what happens in a couple of key moments where Minnesota came up short yesterday? For example, on the touchdown drive where they hit Jeffrey over the top, you have a 3rd and 5 and a throw to the flat, and it's the third down back, I forget his name, but Barr's out there in space. You can make a tackle, get off the field in that moment. Don't do it. 3rd and 10, and then you have the shot play down the field, which, Aikman swears is a double move. Maybe. He had 6 seconds of time.
Well, no, it's not a double move. It's Jeffries realizing the play is broken down.
Correct.
They've got him sacked. The play for Foles is amazing because he gets out of the sack.
Right.
And now it's a bust. Now you're taught just to go.
Sure.
Which he does, and it's a beautiful throw.
Oh, well, he made, the one to Torrey Smith for a
he
touchdown.
Played a perfect game. Listen, he played exceptionally well. You got to give credit where credit's due. But I think, sustaining plays and keeping plays alive within the pocket and breaking, arm tackles and the like that allow for those busts, you got to give him credit.
You give Matthew credit. He was preaching about how he had a 100+ quarterback rating in his previous playoff starts, and here he goes again.
Well, I think certainly, those plays early allow for the confidence as the game goes on. Then they're playing from in front. And listen, you got Philadelphia. The Philadelphia-Minnesota game is too simple. I mean, once that pick happens and then Philadelphia sets the pace there and has all the momentum, they dominate the game on both sides. So there's really not a lot to talk about. That's an ass beating. That's just a team being a lot better than another team, period. There's no, at least if you're a Minnesota fan, and I know several are listening right now, hugs to all of you, but here's the deal. I think it's easier to lose the way they did than the way Jacksonville did. I mean, losing the game so decidedly means you enter the offseason and say, we got to get better because they are a lot better. They were on that day. They were infinitely superior. That's easier. You just off the cap and you move on.
Minnesota had a lead. Jacksonville had the lead.
Oh,
they had the lead.
You listen, you're up by more than a score in the fourth quarter with that defense. But I've said this all year, and, Jacksonville fans will get angry with me, and they'll say, well, you don't give Blake Bortles enough credit. So I'm going to say two things about that. Blake Bortles, in my mind, certainly played well enough to win that game yesterday. He did. He didn't cost them the game necessarily. He played well enough.
14 of his first 16, it was largely a reason they amassed as many points as they did, yes.
The second half version of Bortles and the way they called plays suggests they don't trust him. They don't believe in him. And I think that emanates to the team. I think they know. And they called that game very conservatively late because they didn't trust their quarterback. That tells you all you need to know. Now, he plays well in spots, but there are times where they see enough to know he could cost us this game, and we have a very good defense, so let's shut it down. That's why you don't want a quarterback like that. Now, you almost overcame that slightly above average play from him for the season or mediocrity, whatever you want to call it, right? You almost overcame that because you have that kind of defense and because you have a running game. Jacksonville's really, obviously, if you're a Jags fan today, as much as it hurts, you're moving in the right direction to dominate. You've got young pieces of the puzzle. You're brash. You're a stud on defense. You can run the football. If there's room for an upgraded quarterback, if you can make it happen, then you do it. But you're still in a good place right now, and light years ahead of where you thought you were just a year or two ago. So you're in a good place. As for obviously what we now sit back and watch to have happen is, I think we all know, even though I'm not rooting for it, and I hope Philadelphia rises up and gets it done, wins their first ever championship. we kind of are assuming that Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and Kraft are going to get another one.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just admit it. Today, as you sit here, you can plot out a scenario where you say Philadelphia can win. Sure, and it's plausible. It's not outrageous to do that. But you don't think that's going to happen, and neither do I. We think New England's going to win the game because they seem to do that. Now, one thing I will say is it probably sets up for a very close game because in the modern era of New England Super Bowl appearances, all of those wins are decided by less than a touchdown. New England doesn't blow people out in the Super Bowl. They just don't. Even when they look like they're going to blow somebody out in the Super Bowl, they do not. So maybe we'll get another great game. Maybe we'll get another close game, and maybe finally somebody other than New England will win said close game, and we can breathe a sigh of relief that the Wicked Witch is dead. Florida State basketball won on the road. You're damn right they did. We'll talk about the choo-choo momentarily. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
Are you wanting to raise some extra cash fast? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need to clean out that garage full of stuff you never use? Think Thrifty Nickel. Need a newer car or truck and don't want to break the bank? Think Thrifty Nickel. Buying or selling, your best bet is Thrifty Nickel. All ads appear in print and online for maximum results. Place your ad today and ask for their guaranteed results special. Call 385-0505. Get your free copy of American Classifieds, available at hundreds of locations throughout the greater Tallahassee area.
Whether you're making updates to existing properties or building new construction, Lowe's has savings for pros. Now through February 7th, get 25% off all in-stock kitchen cabinets. Plus, save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. And don't forget, you can save yourself some time by ordering online at lowesforpros.com and pick up your order at our Pro Desk. Offer subject to credit approval. Can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Oh, what a great audience. Let's dim the lights for this next one. Nope, too much. There it is. Gotta get things just right. Like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay and we help you find coverage options that fit your budget. And now, the mood is right. Wait, the lights are back on again. Trudy, can you? And now it's completely dark.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
Hiring is important. People are what make your business work. But how do you find the right talent? ZipRecruiter makes it simple. One click sends your job ad to over 100 of the web's leading job boards. But ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. Their smart matching technology will instantly alert quality candidates about your job. That means you'll start getting great candidates with the right experience almost as soon as your job is posted. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. The right candidates are out there. This is how you find them. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
People from businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. We're so confident ZipRecruiter will get you better results than anywhere else. We'll let you try it free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/build. That's ZipRecruiter.com/build. ZipRecruiter.com/build.
This Day in Sports, brought to you by Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary. Get your history lesson weekdays at 5:30 during the Jeff Cameron Show, right here on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Valvoline Conventional, just $24.99. Save big with Valvoline oil and filter specials at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. A couple good wins for Florida State basketball, meaning the men and women. So let's start with this. Good on you, MJ Walker. All right. So if the Noles are going to get to where we think they can go, that's got to happen. He's got to be a part of the solution. And we had begun to get concerned that he had been somewhat in limbo, looked indecisive, lacking confidence. But it all came back after he saw a few go down in this game against Virginia Tech and really was the catalyst with 24 points and 6 rebounds. Was fantastic. And really, I actually point to his run in the second half where Florida State really shines and goes on a 20-9 run to start in the second half. And the game, I know it gets tense at the end. Florida State hits their free throws. But in truth, the game was over because of that run in the second half, and he was the spark there. And Florida State goes on the road and has a ridiculously strong offensive performance to look more like the team that led us to be buoyed with confidence about what they're capable of. So, we kind of theorized on Monday, Tom, that this was in there. I worried that they could lose on the road in the ACC because it's hard to win on the road in the ACC, and that if that happened, people would be ready to jump ship because we'd be 2-5 in a situation where you have to beat Georgia Tech on Wednesday and you have to beat Miami over the weekend. Now, you're still kind of in a position to where you say those aren't must-wins, but you need to win them. You need to protect the home court, obviously. But they instead go get a win, and what I wanted to see regardless, worst-case scenario, a loss, I wanted to see a performance like this where they look rested, where they look confident, where they made shots, and I wanted to see a performance that suggested they were more like the team that we had a sample size from that leads me to believe they'll win some games, maybe even some they're not expected to win on the road, and get their way into the tournament. And we got that. I was very, very impressed with the way they came out shooting. I don't know how one couldn't be. Obviously, when you come out and you shoot the basketball in this game, it's 34-26. You're 6 of 10 from beyond the arc right off the bat. You shoot 56%, nearly 57%, 6 of 13 from beyond the arc on the road to start the game through a half. Good way to start.
Yeah, there's no doubt. We had a slow start very, very briefly, and then we come out of it and come out firing.
Start hitting shots, yeah.
Yeah, well, MJ Walker is the focal point of this game, and he puts the exclamation point on the win, too, which was a nice steal and then, finish.
Yeah.
It's just talent. Talent can do that and make those plays. You might not draw it up that way, but, hey, when it happens, you shake your head and go, well, that's why he's here, to do things like that in moments like these. But I'd like to focus on C.J. Walker briefly for a moment, because a couple of the shots he hits in the first half, you say, thank you. Because C.J. needed to see the ball go through the hoop.
Without question.
You could tell it was affecting him. And he's not the star of this game, but that's what you saw kind of across the board. C.J. kind of embodies what this team needed and what this team did, which was it went toe-to-toe with a team that wanted to score.
And that can really score and play tempo.
And play with tempo. I mean, Virginia Tech had a really healthy field goal percentage.
Sure.
They were scoring all around the rim. You could see why their team percentage is so high for the season. It's always around the rim.
Yep.
They weren't always interested in boxing out and rebounding the basketball. That they didn't mind going one and done in certain circumstances. So this is a good matchup for us, but you needed to get your confidence back.
We had to shoot with them on the road, though.
Yes, exactly right.
Sure.
Yeah, it's not a 58-54 win on the road and both teams couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. No, this is a win at a pace that we like to run at. So for me, heading into Wednesday, we at least are feeling as good as we possibly can coming out of a game like that.
And we're going to win on Wednesday and be back at 500, and it will set up a really important game, obviously, a revenge game in which you have to come back and return the favor to Miami and win on your home court against a good basketball team who won over the weekend against NC State. So, this is it'll be an important matchup.
It will, and there was a couple interesting trends in this game. First of all, in the first half, couldn't get a call. Could not get a call. It was really frustrating, and Kabengale's
I'm really proud of him. He's playing good basketball.
By the end of the first half, he's screaming because he's rightly, gotten the wrong end of a couple of calls. And you could tell he's just in between, very, very close. Rebounds in the second half, literally, and puts a lot of points up on the board. He was one of our better players for stretches in the middle of this game. Again, MJ's going to get all the headlines, but Fee has to be an answer for us as we get into the blood and guts of ACC play, not just this season, but in the seasons to come. And that was a performance that gives you hope that he can be that player.
He can really shoot the three. I mean, we got to get him more shots. He only took one three-pointer in this game. He made it. I think the stat is he's 9 for his last 17 from beyond the arc. I mean, get him shots. He can shoot.
He's a guard who grew into a big's body. You can kind of see that when he gets down in the paint. Sometimes it looks natural. Sometimes it looks like it's very much a work in progress.
Yeah, he can shoot. For Florida State, we're not very good defensively right now, and it was my fear going into the game. It's been my fear lately in general. I've been harping about the defense. Defense wasn't great in this game either. From an efficiency standpoint, we're one of the least efficient teams defensively in the league. But we're one of the most efficient offensively. Well, we play at a breakneck speed. It is so fun to watch us play. We are the most up-tempo team in the conference. I was reading that earlier today. That's fun. It never gets old to watch. I mean, it's enjoyable to watch them play. If we're knocking down shots, man, we're a tear.
Well, that's what has to happen too, because even still, Virginia Tech shoots a great percentage, but we switched to that zone in the second half. And we're giving up some wide open looks, and we're glad that they didn't go down. Some of the players, you could tell the way we were sagging on it. Well, you let this guy take a shot from the elbow extended all day long. But some of the open looks we gave were to premier players, and it seemed like basic breakdowns. So that's something to clean up, but it's nice to have film to clean up after a win, and a win in which you get your confidence back.
Yeah, a road win in the conference, never to be ignored, always to be championed, and needed to have it, obviously, and now you come back. Yeah, it's interesting. I'm looking more at these numbers, and some of them are staggeringly bad, at least inside the paint. Man, Virginia Tech kind of had their way in getting some baskets around the rim, as you were noting, and yet you still win a game in which Virginia Tech makes 71% of their twos. Goodness.
Right, yeah, and you win it comfortably, too. That's the thing, yeah.
I jokingly, kind of tongue-in-cheek, but not really, tweeted out after the game, road domination for that ass. We basically led the entire game. I mean, you basically lead the entire game. After you wake up from the early beginning there, you take the lead, and you never really look back, and you lengthen that lead into the second half. And Virginia Tech is desperate, and you go and you make – and listen, we can't ignore the fact that when the game was on the line and the pressure – a couple times Virginia Tech stormed back, made it a relatively close
Open
game.
3 to get it to 4 potentially a couple of times, yeah.
And you make your free throws.
Yeah.
There you go, boys. Yeah. There you go. Step up, make those suckers.
Buzz will extend a game. We learned that last year, didn't we?
Yeah.
He will extend a game to the final tenth of 1 second.
It's impressive, though. A lot of things to be happy about. Now you get that win, and you're in a good position. My fear was certainly, listen, as a basketball fan base, and this is what look, until FSU baseball starts back up, you are now in that stretch where it's the long haul, where you've got to get to the Super Bowl, and you need a reason. Our fan base typically needs a reason to invest fully in basketball. Now, last year at this time, of course, they had it. The team was winning in an unprecedented fashion. They were on a historic run, and they go on to win 26 games and easily make the NCAA tournament and win a game in the said tournament and get back and get off the schneid with all of that. So everybody was in there, right?
They had it!
But I was really worried that had they lost that game, the Cliff Jumpers and a lot of those who want to be critical of Leonard Hamilton would have had their ammunition and been able to say, well, that's it. See, I'm checked out. But they get that win. And, when they win on Wednesday, they'll be back in 500 in the best conference in America, and they'll be in a position exactly where they want to be. They'll be 15-5 after that, 4-4 in the ACC, and there'll be no bitching to be had.
Well, this is quite a ride so far this season,
gonna
right?
be.
Yeah,
it's going to be. We knew they would be. You can't lose all that NBA talent and then just cruise.
Well, for a while, it looked like that was absolutely the case. It was, wow, you lose all this talent. You're playing with the best teams in America.
It's
we
a
may
good league,
coast
man.
into the tournament. We're not asking for, being on the 3-seed line. Can we coast into the tournament? I don't know that this win solves those problems. It was a very, very nice matchup for what we want to do. So we'll see when teams play us a little bit more stingy defensively what we look like.
Congratulations to Sue Simrau and the FSU women's team. They're now 18-2, 6-1 in the ACC. Went on the road yesterday, upset previously unbeaten Louisville by the score of 50-49. Second ever win in program history over a top 2 team. The other was when we beat Duke here at the TLC-CC in 2004. So now they're 3-1. Against the AP Top 25. And let's see, this could be the Final Four group, right? This could be. So congratulations, Coach. And congratulations to the women's team. Don't want to ignore their accomplishment either. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Enjoy Bud Light with your friends in the Pit of Misery. Enter to win 4 tickets to a FSU basketball game for you and your friends. Enjoy complimentary Bud Lights and cheer on the Seminoles from the Pit of Misery. Visit Facebook.com/Tri-Eagle Sales to enter to win. The winner will receive 4 tickets to a FSU basketball game, complimentary Bud Lights, and a Dilly Dilly prize pack. 3 winners will be chosen. Who would you take to the Pit of Misery? Dilly Dilly! Must be 21 or older. Please drink responsibly.
I give to you easy laundry service from my friends at Wash Around the Clock. Oh, buddy, this is a game changer. If you're like me, your life is hectic. Between work, school, your kids' sporting events and activities, well, it leaves you precious little time to kick back and take a load off. About the last thing you want to do is hours of laundry, but there it sits, staring at you, taunting. No more. That's right. More watching, less washing. Save hours of valuable time when you sign up not doing laundry with easy laundry service from Wash Around the Clock. Whether it's dry cleaning or just plain laundry, Wash Around the Clock's easy laundry service will pick up and deliver at your home or office. So sign up for free today at easylaundry.net, or you can give them a call, 850-597-9007. Again, sign up today at easylaundry.net. Oh, and by the way, I got you. Use promo code JCS20 and save 20%. That's promo code JCS20. You're saving 20% on your first order. That's easylaundry.net from Wash Around the Clock.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan, and it gives me great pleasure to announce that Kraft Nissan has been designated by Thanks a Bunch, a nonprofit 501c3 military charity, as Tallahassee's exclusive Hero Appreciation Dealer. Kraft Nissan will be honoring all of our friends and neighbors who are active and retired military, as well as all area first responders, including police, firefighters, and paramedics, now through Wednesday, January 31st, by giving away free $50 gift cards to these American heroes. These gift cards are good at over 25,000 restaurants nationwide and over 40,000 online choices. So please come to Kraft Nissan now through the end of the month for our first ever Hero Appreciation Week. And because this is a very heartfelt week for us, Kraft Nissan will offer the best deals on all of our new and used cars and trucks to all of our customers during this event. But just for joining us, Kraft Nissan will give a free $50 gift card to a local military or first responder with no purchase necessary. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco. See dealer for details. Some conditions apply.
Need a place to watch your favorite sporting event? Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9, happy hour drink specials, and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are coming in January to West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Febreze Car presents When Stinks Interrupt.
Thanks for the ride, sis.
No problem. Good flight?
Yeah, Oh.
Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Did you stop?
Chicken.
For fast food?
Nuggets.
Not today. Why?
Oh, chicken nuggets.
Pro tip, sis. Pick up Febreze Car, then pick up your brother.
Febreze Car has 2 new ways to drive away embarrassing odors. Now available without heavy perfumes or with extra bold scent.
Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
I'm going to Gordo's. Gonna get some bungalow chungala at the Gordo's. Drink a margarita. See my man Eddie.
Dude, we're driving there now. I'm sitting next to you. If you got something to say, I'm here for you, bro.
It's better when we see each other at the Gordo's. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
This is The Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Mention at the end of the last segment, big game for the women's basketball team coming up this weekend, and tickets are just $1. Top 10 matchup, Notre Dame. Yeah, buddy, you forgot, and so did I. And then I saw that headline. I went, oh, the Notre Dame and the
Muffet McGraw
is making her way to town.
Muffet McGraw!
That really is great. And for people who didn't hear it the first time, they're like, what?
I have the full length with all the audio cut-ups, but that's 40 seconds. I don't know. It's probably too long.
Anyhow, only $1. So there you go. That's this weekend. Ira Chaffel will join us at the beginning of the 4 o'clock hour. We'll get him to give us a recap of the weekend that was. Somehow lost in all of this would be recruiting. Rapidly approaching that time. Looks like we're going to be able to, or that in particular, Coach Willie Taggart and his staff are going to be able to salvage something of this class after all, right? It's looking better and better.
Yeah, there are a couple of kids who are, they have a newfound interest in Florida State. So whether that's going to be...
I want them all to come here. All of them.
You'll be glue type guys that are 3-star guys, or maybe a couple of blue chippers. Maybe a couple of blue chippers too, who he was in contact with at Oregon, or maybe they're considering Miami right now, and they're saying, "Well, hang on a minute, what do they got? What do they got going on up there in Tallahassee?"
All right, good stuff.
I like this pitch. This is a very good pitch.
It's a good pitch indeed. It's the winning pitch. Come on up, baby. No need to be hanging down there in Miami. It's too crowded. It's tough to get around. Very frustrating. Just make your way up here. Relax a little bit. Hey, as an aside.
War daddies.
Yeah, I got you, Coach. And we need to talk soon, too. So,
War daddies.
As an aside, some things that stood out after New England's win against Jacksonville. So it's true. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, and Kraft, that fracture is there, right? That is obvious. Did you watch that display up on the podium?
Yeah.
He hates that man. And that goes for all of them to each other. Just a triangle. You can just say he hates that man and apply that any way you want. That was amazing. I saw all but an F off come out of Bill Belichick's mouth to Kraft. I mean, it was all there.
Yeah. Even when Brady and Belichick were celebrating.
It didn't look like it was like I'm happy I'm going to the Super Bowl. You're happy we're going to the Super Bowl. But
it looked like the Sean Payton, Dirk Cutter interaction after Week 17, where they're both kind of tugging at each other's arms, and kind of shouting at each other. Have you seen the close-up video of that?
That's weird.
From Fox 13? Not the one that was on the Fox broadcast, but the local news anchor.
What's that about? What was it about?
It was still about the bad blood with the brawl in New Orleans.
Oh, from before, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're both Dirk's coming there for a regular handshake to say good luck in the playoffs.
Right.
And then Peyton just starts tugging him around.
Oh,
and so they both start hitting each other in the chest with like a pat motion, but it's not, it's more,
it's,
it's closer to a Ric Flair chop than it is a pat. And they go, all right, they're both yelling back at each other, all right.
Yeah.
And then
I hate you.
Dirk comes back and he said, Sean, if I saw it, I would have dealt with it last time. If I saw it, and Peyton goes, come on, you're full of, and then he walks away.
Which he is.
Absolutely. If I saw it.
It was 2 inches in front of him. Why do coaches do that? That's ridiculous.
It's because he wants to gather time, and so he's sticking with his lie. I didn't see it. There's like 40 dudes on a sideline.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. By the way, if you're wondering about the rest of the ACC, when we were going over these, obviously, my thought that Virginia is going to go ahead and win this conference. Well, they're 7-0 in the conference now. And 3-0 on the road. Not having it. That's a damn fine basketball team. Louisville that we lost to and let get away that big lead in the second half.
Yeah,
is 5-1 in the conference though, 2-1 on the road, 3-0 at home. So in a weird way, what does that make you feel? Because again, it's frustrating that it happened, but Louisville has now shown that they're an elite team in the ACC, and this is a very good conference, and it's a tough thing to go win on the road, and they did, and they played great defense, and they went and got a road win against Notre Dame.
It gives me the Alonzo Mourning GIF feeling, where I'm still stewing. I'm like, well, on the other hand, they are a pretty good team, because it makes me more angry in this sense. If you get that win, what does that mean for you now? That's another quality win where you thought, maybe Louisville's down this year, and that's one that you should get rather than one that would be a feather in your cap come Selection Sunday.
But let's note something here. All right, so when you're trying to figure out what Florida State basketball is or is not, and we tend to, when you blow a game like that in the second half, or you blow a lead like that in the second half, but you lose to a very good basketball team, we only focus on the blown lead and not the excellence of the other team that came back and got the win. Right? There was a lot Louisville did to come back and get the win, and then later go on the road and get a win against Notre Dame, et cetera. And then, it's why they're in second in the ACC. It's also true that, Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma this weekend, and Florida went on the road and beat Kentucky.
Huge results for us, yeah.
So you look at these situations here now where, okay, we trounced Florida on the road. We lost by a point to Oklahoma State, and we were frustrated by that loss. But Oklahoma State's turned out not to be terrible at all, and we thought coming into the season they might be. In fact, they're pretty decent.
After the game, not knowing that we would hit the slump in 3 or 4 weeks' time, but after the game, I thought, well, that's a good basketball team because we were doing a lot of good things, and they're staying there right with us. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess at the end of the day, Florida State did lose that game to Louisville and put yourself in a tough situation. But it turns out that's a really good Louisville team. They went on the road, and it was tied at 92 with 2 minutes to play against Duke in Cameron. They beat North Carolina here. They lost in heartbreaking fashion to Louisville. They obviously trounced Florida, who's now gone on the road and beaten Kentucky. And I know Kentucky's not what they usually are, but they still have a ton of talent as they do every year, and Florida went and beat them. That's a good win for Florida State when you look back on it. The 1-point loss to an Oklahoma State team that's turned out to be pretty good and just beat Oklahoma, who's nationally ranked in the top 15. I mean, I think the idea that Florida State is in every game, even in their losses, they're in every game. You're not watching. Last year, there were moments, even in this historical run, and you go back and look. Remember, we were so angry at the Georgia Tech game and some other games. Yeah, I mean, there have been moments.
There was, we had a Georgia Tech game 2 years ago.
2 years ago, that was the one. Yeah.
That was the one where, don't cry for me, Devin Booker. He's the only guy. He's like, I want to go to the tournament.
Desperately, yeah.
And then you had, actually, it'll be 2 years to the day tomorrow, because it was a buddy's wedding. That's how I know. The Pitt finish. You're up by big on Pitt. You just can't have one of those between now and the end of the season. Nope. No. We can't have any of that. So Wednesday night can't be one of those eggs.
Yeah, I have reserved, at some point I have figured out that it's a long season in the ACC, and you see curious results throughout this league, and yet you'll hear a lot of, good programs, good teams, great coaches don't do that, and it's just simply not true. They just do. I mean, we know Boeheim's a great coach, a Hall of Fame coach, a national champion, and Florida State beats Syracuse fairly frequently these days. I mean, it's tough. So, right. Ideally, you don't turn around after beating Virginia Tech on the road, getting that road win you needed, and come home and lose to Georgia Tech. That would be a bad result and a tough situation. And I'm not saying it's okay. But if it were to happen, I'm not going to sit here and go, well, they're toast. That's it. It's over. I've just learned too much about what we are now. We can put the ball in the basket. This is a program that now has recruited more skill than it used to have. You're capable of getting wins in games in which you're not favored on the road. So you don't just chalk it up to, well, that's it. They're done. They lose a tough game. I'm done. That's not who we are. We're good enough to endure the hiccup that seemingly most of the teams in this conference suffer at least once or twice a season, especially in road play.
Yeah, the hard thing to nail down, though, right now for our basketball team is we've kind of been moving back and forth in the spectrum of, are we an above-average team in a really good league? Are we a below-average team in a really good league? Are we an average team in a really... Yeah, that's the hard part.
I think that's the answer. I think we're probably an average team in a really good league, which makes us bubble, but capable of continuing to get better. And you're seeing that, right? Like, what if MJ Walker now, buoyed by this game, becomes this guy that obviously emerges week to week with some more consistency? Kabengele, another guy. Fee is a guy that I think as the year goes on will continue to gain confidence. And you're seeing now they've got some real talent there.
Yeah, the problem is that, it's not a problem we won last weekend. But after Duke, North Carolina, you're saying, well, we're a good team in a really good league. Look at what we did in non-conference.
We're capable of playing really well.
Yeah, we're dangerous on any night to beat any team in this conference.
I think that's correct.
But we felt like our baseline was above average, and the reality is we're probably pretty good. Then there was the downturn. You go, well, we're probably an average to below average team in this conference, but that might still be good enough to get us into the tournament. And now, we'll see what this week tells us about what we are, because you do what you're supposed to do on Wednesday and then see if you can steal one on Saturday, and then we can redefine ourselves again. But I think it's going to be hard to make definitive statements about what this team is. The results are going to kind of, guide you back and forth, because that's what the ACC does. And right now, we're right at 500, just a game under 500 going into a winnable game on Wednesday.
It's going to be a weird season. I just have a feeling we're going to get a win that's exhilarating at some point. People are going to be very surprised. We're going to be all in on this team and this program, where they're going and all that good stuff. And then they're going to do something inexplicable and lose a game that you just can't lose. In our mind, you can't lose. And we're going to go, well, I just think that's who they are. When you lose as much talent as they did and you're reliant on some younger guys, it can happen.
We'll have to get the audio of the Zen Master, because I think that's where basketball, you just want to declare. I mean, after non-conference, the Oklahoma State loss being what it was, so very close, and then the way you played Duke and North Carolina back-to-back, you say, well, We know what we are. Zen Master says we'll see. And I think the Zen Master prevails here because we're going to have another upturn and downturn yet before this whole thing's over.
I'm busy saying we'll see. I feel like the Zen Master with the basketball team. We'll be all right. We're going to be all right. But we are going to win on Wednesday, and we'll be 4-4 in the ACC. And that's the big to-do right there.
We'll see.
No, we're going to win on Wednesday. Don't you worry about that. It's going to be a lot of fun for all of us over there at the TLCCC this Wednesday, right? IrashFellWarChant.com. Let's find out what's going on with the Noles. He joins us to start the next hour. Stay tuned.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck. Always enough, I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
And the type of fishing that customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Seaquarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Looking for a pre-owned vehicle to help prepare you for the future? All Honda-certified pre-owned vehicles are thoroughly inspected by a Honda-trained technician and backed by an outstanding Honda Limited warranty for up to 7 years or 100,000 miles from the original in-service date. You could say we pre-screen each one, as a precaution. Visit HondaCertified.com and search for local inventory.
See your Honda dealer for limited warranty details.
Hiring is important. People are what make your business work. But how do you find the right talent? ZipRecruiter makes it simple. One click sends your job ad to over 100 of the web's leading job boards. But ZipRecruiter doesn't stop there. Their smart matching technology will instantly alert quality candidates about your job. That means you'll start getting great candidates with the right experience almost as soon as your job is posted. No wonder 80% of employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate through the site in just one day. The right candidates are out there. This is how you find them. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
People from businesses of all sizes trust ZipRecruiter for their hiring needs. We're so confident ZipRecruiter will get you better results than anywhere else. We'll let you try it free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/build. That's ZipRecruiter.com/build. ZipRecruiter.com/build.
Don't just listen to The Jeff Cameron Show. Watch it live. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Live weekdays 3 to 6 p.m. Head to ESPNTallahassee.com today to watch live or catch up on demand. The Jeff Cameron Show Streamcast. Brought to you by Nice Tire and Auto, your trusted Goodyear dealer.
Nice Tire and Auto, just minutes away from FSU campus.
Febreze Car presents When Stinks Interrupt.
Thanks for the ride, sis.
No problem. Good flight?
Yeah,
Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Did you stop?
Chicken.
For fast food?
Nuggets.
Not today. Why?
Oh, chicken nuggets.
Pro tip, sis. Pick up Febreze Car, then pick up your brother.
Febreze Car has 2 new ways to drive away embarrassing odors. Now available without heavy perfumes or with extra bold scent.
Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. The Cardinals are expected to hire Panthers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks as their new head coach. Plenty of work ahead for Wilks in Arizona, explains ESPN's Louis Riddick.
They don't have a quarterback. They have an offensive line that's in a state of transition that you could probably say contributed to Carson Palmer retiring. They have a wide receiver core that's, let's just say, been inconsistent, a franchise running back coming off of injury. They have some good pieces on defense. They have a pass rusher, they have a corner, and they have a playmaking safety.
Titans defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau won't return to Tennessee for the 2018 season. NBA, the relationship between the Spurs and star Kawhi Leonard has cooled off after months of discord centering on treatment, rehab, and timetables for Leonard's return from a right quads injury. Sources described to ESPN Leonard and his camp as being distant and disconnected from the organization. GM R.C. Buford denying any issues between the team and Leonard. Minnesota's Jimmy Butler with a sore right knee and Jamal Crawford with a sprained left big toe, both out tonight against the Clippers. Kentucky's out of the AP Top 25 men's college basketball poll for the first time in nearly 4 years.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Hour number 2, Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio. Thanks for tuning to it. Hope you had a great weekend. Good Monday all. I'm Jeff. That's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. That's where you go to listen live via the streaming free always. If you are to miss something, we post all 3 hours of the program every day upon the conclusion of the show, both on iTunes and in our own audio vault, I should say. You can email us, jcs at 979ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. We're on YouTube. Type into ESPN Tallahassee there on YouTube. You'll find the show. And if you follow the 97.9 ESPN Tallahassee Twitter feed, you can also watch us Periscope there. We're joined every Monday. Good buddy Irashfel, warchant.com, and he joins us now. Hello, good sir. How are you?
I'm good, Jeff. How are you?
I'm good, man. Are you capable of – I was just reading an article from the Miami Herald. I'll give credit where credit's due. During the break that talked about appreciating the legacy and the level of dominance of Tom Brady, Bill Belichick, and the New England Patriots. Are you capable of appreciating it, or are you just like everybody else at this point, disgusted?
You know, it's funny, man. I was actually telling my wife about that last night that, like, I guess because I don't have an NFL team really, like, it doesn't bother me the way it does everybody else. I know, like, it drives everybody else crazy, but because whenever a game's on, she'll say, who do you want to win? And I'm like, I really didn't care. I mean, it's not that I'm against the Jaguars, and I'd like to see some of these FSU guys get into a Super Bowl. But in terms of the animosity people have against the Patriots, I just don't care that much. I don't know why. I don't know why it is. Like, you're a Bucs fan. Is it really? Does it affect you that much?
No. No, it doesn't affect me that much. It doesn't affect Tom that much either. We've talked about it before. I get it from everybody else, especially
if you're an AFC fan.
Right, yeah. And if you're a fan of anybody in the AFC, you're done. If you're a Dolphins fan, you're tired of it, obviously, to no end. But I here's the thing. I don't blame the Patriots for my organization's incompetence. And
exactly. That's what I was going to say. It's like, hey, get better.
Well, right, and I don't blame the Patriots for kind of lucking out, if you will. I mean, the bottom line is they got lucky with Brady. You couldn't have known a 6th-round draft choice was going to become the best quarterback of all time. But he did, and they're really well coached, and obviously Kraft has been a great owner in the league, and then they have figured it out how to sustain and build around him year in and year out and get pieces of the puzzle that work. And they've been operated as well as any professional sports organization in the history of sports, really, over this stretch of time. So what are you going to do? Right. You just want your organization to get better or to figure out how to steal from the greats of the game. And I don't lose sleep over it.
Well, my big question is, like, how does he get, like, Amendola, like those couple catches on the last drive, the touchdown catch and then the catch before that, and then, also the pass deflection, like, those are enormous plays, and it seems like their guys always make enormous plays. Like, why is that?
Well, I think when you're great and there's greatness around you, you're well coached, and you're in these positions more frequently, it stands out every time a big moment in the game is won by the Patriots. We see it all the time because they're there with regularity, so we tend to remember it most of the time. But also, that's what they always used to say about great teams is that you kind of make your own luck, and some of that's true and some of it's not. But I think we remember every big moment that goes their way. The Amendola catch in the back of the end zone, you see lots of receivers make that play, but I will say that throw in that moment with what was on the line is why it will stay in our minds for a long time. And, Brady makes that throw. That's a better throw than most make in that situation. And you knew it was coming because that's what he does. And it's just aggravating to some extent. Obviously, if you're rooting against him, it's very frustrating. But, man, they're used to being great. I don't know if things slow down for them because they've played in so many of these. In particular, the guy pulling the trigger. I think that's part of it, right? He's had so many moments where the pressure was greatest that I suppose the game moves a little slower for him.
I guess that's the thing. And the combination of him being able to perform in those moments, because you're right. I mean, those catches get made all the time, but it's the moment. How many times does it be made in that moment? But he's been in that moment so many times. But then on top of that, he's one of those guys that seems to make other people better, and you just think of, the litany of wide receivers that were kind of journeymen everywhere else they were, except when they played with Tom Brady. And
I used to think that's a perfect point. And by the way, I used to think that about Michael Jordan with the Bulls. I got tired of the Bulls winning championships, and there would be guys stepping up, making plays at the end of games that you thought on any other team that doesn't happen. But they elevated their game, and the reason they elevated their game was Mike figured out how to make others around him better, and that's what makes you an all-time great. It's figuring out a guy's tendency. It's figuring out what to say to a guy before a game like that, what to say to a guy before a final possession, before a final drive, before a big play. You learn the psychology of your teammates, and in addition to having the acumen for the game and the physical tools, you understand the psychology. So, I think that's what the all-time greats do is they make everybody better. And when they're not on your team, you're jealous, but I don't hate them. I am tired of seeing them. I think you get fatigue.
Do you think how much of it is because Belichick's kind of an ass? I mean, if he was like a nice guy, or like if he was Pete Carroll, would people hate him that much?
Yes, because I think what happens is if you win as much as they have, whatever attributes you bring to the table, we get tired of. It doesn't matter if you're affable, over-the-top, goofy player coach. We hate you. We think you're a clown. And then if you're too stern and terse with the press every week, and you're the same way all the time, like a freaking robot, well, we hate you for that too. Why don't you show more personality? Really, I don't think you can win. And I bet you the people in the middle really can't. Right? I mean, you have to be this thing, right? This cult of personality in a way, or not, or the antithesis. It's odd, but it helps to have the best quarterback in the league. And I know I'll be like everybody else. I'll pull for Philadelphia because I've certainly seen New England win enough. But I don't get angry. I don't get, I don't sit around. But you should see, our email and just listening to people talk. If you go to a bar to watch a game, it's funny. I mean, they believe like the fix is in. People want to believe that the fix is in. And I've noticed in my lifetime, you probably have too, we've now lived long enough where we can do this, where any dominant franchise that sustains greatness for longer than 5 or 6 years, the conspiracy theorists begin to come out left and right.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's the whether it's the lottery, the draft lottery being fixed,
right?
Or and then look, man, I do hate the Yankees.
I do too.
Because I'm an Orioles fan, so I get that. But do people hate Phil Jackson? That's one. Did people hate him when they were? I mean,
I don't think they credit him. Yeah, I don't think they credit him. I think they think
the focus was on the players.
Right. I think they think he kind of look. There's no doubting his acumen for the game and his understanding of how to deal with personalities and egos. He clearly did that better than most. But I would say most people look at Phil Jackson and say, you may be a great coach, but it's hard not to win with Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal and all the. I mean, he had a couple of teams you could roll the ball out there with. I mean, Scottie Pippen's a top 50 all-time player to go alongside Michael Jordan, and in L.A. you've got Shaq and Kobe. You better win. So I don't think they really look at him as the architect. They think he was the benefactor of greatness all around him in terms of the players. All right, let's go to FSU. Let's get caught up there. First of all, big win on the road against Virginia Tech. This is a fun team, man. When you look at tempo, they're faster than anybody else in the league, and when they're making shots, they're as fun to watch as anybody in college basketball. They don't always defend real well right now, and that can grow frustrating, but I guess in your mind, frame that win over the weekend against Va Tech.
Look, I think it's impressive just given, the concerns about the state of mind of the team. They were really coming up through a rough stretch, had lost, I think, like 3 of the last 4, had not shot the ball well, had not played well on the road since that Duke game. And, it's hard. I mean, we asked several of the players last week, how when you're struggling to shoot it, how do you get that back? And, they talked about, trying to get to the rack, trying to get some easy baskets, get to the free throw line, just see the ball go through the hoop. And, so I think partly they did some of that, but then also MJ Walker, has a game that you certainly couldn't expect. He was unbelievable in the second half. Really, I think that was as big as anything. It gave him some breathing room because Virginia Tech had cut it back to 3, and I'm thinking, okay, Virginia Tech's going to make a run early in the second half, but instead it was MJ Walker. He hits those threes, that gives them the separation. They keep shooting it well from the perimeter. And then they knocked down all those free throws. I mean, that's a game that some FSU teams would have lost because they wouldn't have shot free throws like that. So the mental toughness was, I think, the most impressive thing to me about that whole game.
If you go back and you say to yourself, all right, what portends of good things for Florida State? It is, again, you saw a team that more resembled the one in the non-conference and early on in conference play that could knock down shots. Remember, me, and Corey were talking about they got to find a way to get their shooting back. Well, that rest turned out to be the best thing for them because at the end of the day, you shoot 53%, you're 9 of 20 from beyond the arc on the road, you make 20 of 26 free throws, you continue on the offensive glass to do a good job, you out-rebound Virginia Tech, who's a smallish team, 37-25. These are things that ought to lead to a win. It does, and now you would think they garner confidence going into the game against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, exactly. And I think, it also makes you feel better about those 2 losses at Miami and Boston College because, we all knew that the Boston College was a tough spot on 48 hours after a double overtime game going all the way up to Boston, and they were kind of dead-legged. But you also had the Miami loss where they came out slow. And I think you made the point that, that was after Duke and North Carolina.
Right.
They were due for a letdown there. So now to see them play the way they did on the road, totally different, with much more energy, much more confidence in their shot. Now that makes you feel like, okay, those excuses were legitimate in those other 2 spots. You're not happy about them, but at least you could kind of say, okay, the circumstances probably played a major role there. And that'll give you, I think, a little bit more faith and confidence next time they go on the road. But obviously, these next 2 games at home are huge because, there's a chance they could get back over 500, which would be really just a big lift.
Real quick, I want to ask you about 2 things that I don't traditionally ask you, and I don't think this will put you too much in a bind. But while we're on basketball, just because I know your daughter's a real good basketball player, the women beat Louisville over the weekend, and obviously I don't spend a lot of time talking about women's basketball on this show, and we all know that. But that's a great win because that's an undefeated Louisville team, and it's against the number 2 ranked team in the country. They were 20-0 before facing Florida State, and now there's a top 10 matchup coming into town. All I want to ask you, I don't want you to give me specifics about star players or anything else, and I know you know about that team, but do you think, just based on the fact that you do pay attention to this, certainly more than I do, that this is the group that gets to that Final Four? Are they looking like that kind of a team? For those of us that aren't tuning in all that often to women's basketball team's really good.
They are. The concern about this team was depth, and you really wondered about that. And going into a tournament, that could be a factor. But, man, they also have some players that can really shoot it. The A.J. Alex girl, and they've got some players that really can take over games. Shaquilla Thomas, obviously. And so that in a tournament format, that could be all it takes. I mean, if you've got 1 or 2 kids that are basically unguardable, which they've got a couple that can be that way, yeah, they got a shot. I mean, I do think the lack of depth was the big concern coming into this year, and going into the tournament it would be a concern. But if those two or three players they've got that are dominant are that way in a tournament, yeah, there's no reason why they can't. I mean, they have some elite talent on that team.
The signing day stretch is upon us, and everybody gets nervous. Obviously, this was the issue at hand as Coach Taggart was putting together his staff. We were talking about how he was having to do this while simultaneously trying to salvage something of this stuff of this recruiting class. Where do you think at the end of the day, as we sit here on the 22nd, Florida State ends up? I don't need a specific ranking, but you think top 25, top. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm thinking probably top 15 now. I mean, I think they've got a real good chance to be top 10, top 15. Between 10 and 15, somewhere in there. And the big question is going to be numbers. Originally he said they might sign 16 to 18, but that was before a couple guys went pro that they didn't know about, and also there might be a couple other just attrition things that pop up. So if he can sign over 20 or 22, I think that would be a big help. If you're only signing 16 or 18, it's hard sometimes to get it real high in the rankings, but their the average quality per prospect is really high. It's top 5, top 10. I think what's going to determine how high they go ultimately will be, how many players they can actually sign.
Always appreciate it, brother. Be well. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks, Chef. See you, man.
All right, take care. Ira Chaffel, WarChant.com. I had to work in a women's basketball question. I know he pays attention to it, and his daughter plays basketball and all that. And so I want to make sure I do my due diligence here. It's good to hear.
Okay. Guys going to the pros, we know about that, but some attrition things.
Well, there's always the idea that maybe you tell certain guys that their time is up if they're not contributing. Maybe make way. Other people have, can suffer from they could be grade casualties. I think he's talking about in general, maybe a couple guys.
Okay.
I think there's probably been somewhat of a surprise to see the people that turned pro, the amount who declared. So that frees up some room.
Well, you're seeing, too, if you follow the reports of WarChant or anywhere else, you're seeing that, there's a couple of depth guys. And by that, I mean, 3 stars, mid-level 3 stars, high-level 3 stars that are catching the attention of the coaching staff to the point where there's one article up right now. There's a kid who they're going to visit tomorrow, and if they offer him, well, he goes, perhaps Florida State goes right to the top of the list. It could be that way. So I wonder if there's going to be a couple of depth signings to account for attrition and or leaving for the NFL draft.
I understand that. I just always am very, very reticent about signing guys to sign guys. I mean, one thing he talked about was we're not going to just sign guys to sign guys. We're going to sign guys that we think can play at this level, that can contribute, play at an elite level. And I know you're not suggesting that, but sometimes you get a little nervous.
If you're 50-50 on a kid, you probably lean towards, well, let's take him.
Yeah.
We need a body. And if he turns out to be on the 50% side of, he's a depth reserve, well, that's worth it, isn't it? Because now we need people.
Yeah. No, it'll be interesting. I said, going back, I was going to frame this in certain ways. When it all unraveled, basically, when you realized that the rumors were true and that Jimbo Fisher was going to be taking another job, then slowly but surely it trickled out that a lot of the recruits that had been contacted by Jimbo Fisher and the previous staff had not been contacted in some cases for up to 2 months. You thought, what an unmitigated disaster this is. You've got pissed off recruits, so therefore you've got nobody who's vouching for you, nobody who's out there recruiting other people. At that point, who knows what they were saying to other recruits about Florida State and the potential of committing there, or their verbal to Florida State. So you had kids wavering. You had kids angry, which means you had parents angry, which means you had high school coaches angry, which means in this transitional phase, you were up against it. You had an early signing period. You have to hire an entire staff. A couple of guys you thought you could pencil in for, as coming with you, don't come. So now you got to hire more people, interview more people than you were expecting to. You can't give recruits at that point a surefire answer as to who their position coach, their segment coach is going to be. This had the makings of a nightmare class. The makings of a complete and utter disaster. Now, what we talked about at that point was you can survive that 1 year, especially because you've recruited well previous to the last 2 to 3. So you could have a hiccup, a bump in the road, whatever you want to label it as, and survive it. But it's not ideal. And I was worried. You know, at that time, we were seeing the numbers that were absurd. You had Florida State, in some cases, being out-recruited by the likes of Kentucky and Duke and people like that. People get caught up in the rankings. I get caught up in, are you filling your needs, and is it quality? But admittedly, when you fall below 40, you start saying, well, this is not good. And my thought at the time was if Willie Taggart could come in here, hire a good staff, and still salvage a top 25 class, book it, let's ride. It's going to be fine. Everything's going to be all right. If you're telling me now that he's done that, and we think he has, and he's going to sign a top 20 class, hey, listen, we're going to miss out on some guys here and there, but I will take that any day given the set of circumstances we saw him inherit. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Blountstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck. Always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Whether you're making updates to existing properties or building new construction, Lowe's has savings for pros. Now through February 7th, get 25% off all in-stock kitchen cabinets. Plus, save 5% on every purchase every day when you use your Lowe's Business Credit account. And don't forget, you can save yourself some time by ordering online at lowesforpros.com and pick up your order at our Pro Desk. Offer subject to credit approval. Can't be combined with other credit offers. Exclusions apply. U.S. only.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get you back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 833-4DRDELAY. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
Here's a love story between a restaurant and its city, and the people of its city. For 45 years, Andrews has been serving up great food, great fun, and great memories in the heart of Tallahassee. Today, Andrews is better than ever, with an all-new look. Tallahassee's original Sunday brunch, a new outdoor pergola, and an incredible happy hour. All to bring the best of the best to you. Come make memories at Andrews, better than ever.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
By the way, the question of appreciation, and I don't know, listen, it's funny, fandom is a unique thing because it's emotional. You get invested in your team, your city, whatever it is, your university. And it's hard for you to separate out and find, I guess, higher levels of objectivity in the midst of disappointment. And so the idea of appreciating the Patriots' run today, so fresh off of a disappointing loss, I don't expect Jags fans to do that today. I expect Jags fans to be frustrated with some elements of play calling, some elements of officiating, whatever. I got you. But for everybody else, and we're all affected by the Patriots' run, whether we're a Patriots fan or we have grown really weary and very tired of same old level of excellence with the New England Patriots. We're affected. I used to be, I think Alabama, I brought it up, and I'm not trying to self-promote here, but I brought that up to Paul Feinbaum. I mean, he was on when I was co-hosting, and I asked him, is Alabama good for college football? At some point, you reach that level where you say, is this good for the game? To have it so singular, it's where one team, one coach, one player, one organization is dominating. In case of college football, it's Alabama currently, obviously in the NFL, and it has been for seemingly eons.
Well, we talk about it every year, but if you go back to 2004, every quarterback who has represented the AFC in the Super Bowl, except for 1 year, has been named Brady, Manning, or Roethlisberger. Mm-hmm. The one outlier, of course, is Flacco in 2012 when they beat the 49ers.
Yeah,
but
and he had a run for the ages that postseason.
Right, yeah. Yes, historic postseason.
It got him paid. What a time to have a run,
sure.
Joe Flacco.
And while I understand that, Peyton was carried to one of the Super Bowls instead of doing the carrying to a Super Bowl, which he did in the earlier portion of his career.
He still was an all-time great.
I mean, you kind of know the drill here. You kind of know who the AFC representative is going to be. It's going to be a team with a quarterback like Tom Brady, and he still stands as the others. Even Roethlisberger's talking about retiring every year, it seems. Every month, it seems, he talks about it. And yet, here is this guy. It's incredible. I get so much more tired of Alabama than I do the Patriots. And it's easy to tell why. I'm not affected by the Patriots on a week-to-week basis.
No, we're a fan out of the team.
That gets annoying.
Yeah. Well, we're a fan of a team in the NFC, first of all. So the only time we're really going to be bothered by a New England situation is if we have to play them in the Super Bowl and they deny us a chance at a championship. But
we haven't won a playoff game since we won the Super Bowl.
Right.
If we were good and were told no by the Patriots a couple of times in the Super Bowl,
sure
you know what I mean?
But even then, I think fandom, you grow as a fan, just like you do in anything else, whether that's just as a worker or a father or whatever else. You grow, and I don't know, my fandom in my youth took on a whole lot of vitriol and anger towards people and things for winning too much. I hated certain teams, hated certain players because they were on those teams, hated their success, while my team was, well, hell, in the case of the Bucs, my team was terrible. But, even going back, like I used to loathe the Braves in the early 90s, because the Pirates were good And the Braves broke my heart. But it wasn't just that. I mean, the Sid Bream play is famous. But the Braves every year, and then the Pirates began their descent after the Sid Bream play. They don't win. They don't finish 500 or above again until over 20 years later. I didn't blame the Braves for that, but I did resent their successes year in and year out. Somewhere along the way, I think I stopped doing that as a fan. I don't know when it was, but somewhere along the way, sustained excellence became something that I really admired and really wanted to learn from. And then maybe that's too analytical. I don't know, but because fandom is supposed to be about emotion and, and getting caught up in the moments of things and all of that. And maybe it's because I work in this field on a daily basis. But somewhere along the way, I really did stop resenting excellence, unless the person was a bad person. If the guy's a bad guy, has a history of doing whatever, criminal activity, or was just an awful human being, that's different. But other than that, if you just win a lot, I don't know. I mean, I'm just somewhat indifferent, and I can even learn something from it or sit back and go, that's absolutely fascinating.
Well, even as tired as I get of Alabama, this applies to the Patriots too. If they're playing a certain opponent, that I don't really like either. Let's just say it's an Alabama-Ohio State national title game or something along those lines. Well, I'd root for Alabama because it's like a house game. It's default. That's what they do. So if they win another one, that really diminishing returns. It's not going to help things that much. And I get that's one of the arguments that a fan wrote in about Georgia winning. Which one is more damaging to us over the next 5 years?
Yeah,
because they're a new kid on the block. Now their recruiting class this year was already locked in.
It was already exceptional.
But you are prolonging Georgia's run if they do win right here, right now, because even being in the game doesn't have the cachet of winning the game. There is a big difference there. But with the Patriots, I'm sorry, Matthew, I'm going to have a hard time rooting for Philadelphia and Philly fans in general, as much as I love that guy right there. Because if the Patriots win, that's just another – that's what they do. That doesn't affect the world. The world hasn't changed. It's the same place it was the day before.
Right.
The Patriots win again. But if Philly fans have a Super Bowl,
yeah, and they've never had one.
Well, first of all, they're going to
cross it off the list.
They're going to burn the city down. First of all, you see the videos from last night,
or accost a rival fan for no reason. Sure,
right, exactly, which they do.
In general, yes.
I don't want to empower Philly football fans. Let's just leave that be and let New England win their 20th.
Well, it won't be their 20th, but it feels like
it. Feels like it.
But yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Consistency is the hallmark in most leagues of greatness, a form of greatness. If you can do something at sustained excellence for long periods of time, then obviously we kind of sit back and really look at you amongst the all-time greats as opposed to a flash in the pan and all that good stuff. I don't think I can – well, I don't know that I can root for anybody in this game. I may end up breaking my own rules.
Go golfing?
Well,
no, there's not enough sunlight out.
I'll watch the game. Yeah. I mean, we do have to talk about it. But it's very, 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 very rare that a Super Bowl or any game of great magnitude is being played in any sport where I can truly say, and I am doing that now this far out, there'll be a lot of information and things to read between now and then that may sway you one way or the other. But this is rare. I can tell you right now, I don't really care at all. I don't. I mean, I guess I'd side with the Philadelphia Eagles, if only because I don't need to see the Patriots win another one. I don't. But I'm not angry at them. I'm just, all right. I'm sure there's some, Matthew's a good friend.
Exactly. That's the hard part about this one. Usually it would be open and shut, and I'm kind of agonizing over it.
The only reason that I would pull for Philadelphia, really the only reason is Matthew. That's it. Otherwise, I'm with you. Like, screw Philadelphia.
Yeah. The one thing that's developed for me over time as I'm rooting against Philadelphia because I don't like Philadelphia, so I get this will kind of counter what I just said. But in general, I've gone from a fan who roots for my team very hard, roots hard against my rivals.
Yeah.
I mean, like almost at the same level.
Now you just root for your team to do well.
To a guy who only rooted for my team to do well, and whatever happens over here happens over here. But let's focus on us getting better first.
I can never
completely
discount the disdain I have for, say, the University of Miami.
Now to a place where I root for my team, and I rather enjoy Schadenfreude. I enjoy it, but if it doesn't happen, it doesn't ruin my day.
You're not. Yes. Okay.
There
so
was
there
a point in college where if Florida won, I'd be like, oh, well, this ruins the day.
Right. That's ridiculous.
No.
The beauty, and I'm going to address the 20-year-old listener out there. The beauty is you graduate beyond that. Jason writes in on Twitter at Jay Cameron Show. Nailed it. The older I get, the less I hate teams that are amazing every year. In my 20s, rage. Yeah, you feel a sense of rage when rivals of your team win and or sustained excellence of people that you can't stand or organizations or players or coaches. No, at some point you graduate to, I love this team. I love this university, or I love this individual, if it's an individual sport, whatever it is, and I'm going to root for them to do well because I'm invested, either emotionally or in some cases, obviously if it's college, fiscally, you spend money, I mean, whatever it is, right? I'm invested. I'll root for them to do well, and if somebody else does. But I won't lie. What doesn't go away is you'll always feel a tinge of frustration and aggravation if your chief rival does achieve a level of greatness in something. See Florida winning the college baseball World Series last year. I haven't spent a lot of time on it. I'm not losing sleep, but in the moment, I certainly have to admit to having been frustrated.
Oh, well, I agree there. Now, championships are a different animal.
Yeah. Championships, you're like, ooh, they're not just good. They're going to win the whole damn thing. It is about collecting toys in a way, isn't it?
Yeah. No. Championships, now, hang on a minute. I got to throw that caveat in there. But when you're talking week to week, Florida, Tennessee this year.
I don't think anything of it. When
Florida
made that play, I actually laughed at Tennessee.
I had an over-under play that if they go to overtime, I'm going to lose.
Oh, well, gambling's different now, too.
Yeah. But, no, the way I was watching that game, I was like, man, look at this. Tennessee is going to beat Florida again, and I'm laughing. And then they don't. And I go, oh, okay. Let me see what else is on. Well, that really sucks for Tennessee.
Yeah, but I actually laughed at Tennessee.
And when I was in my 20s, I go, are you kidding me?
Right. I would have screamed at the television.
I would have been as mad as if we lost the game.
But that's ridiculous,
and
right?
It is. It's absurd.
There. Like you're worrying about things you can't control. But honestly, that game is a good example. When that happened, that throw, two things I thought about was I need to see the replay. What the hell was the corner doing? And then number two, I was amazed at how far he threw it. It was an impressive throw.
Yeah.
And I was really objectively breaking down how far he threw that ball. And I was like, that kid's got
it just kept going. Yeah.
He's got a cannon. And then three, I thought, Tennessee, you dumbasses. And I kind of chuckled.
And I'm just kind of laughing, too, at the folly of them, everybody celebrating and going nuts. I'm like, well, you just beat Tennessee.
No, but I'm laughing at Tennessee going, you lost that game after all of that. My God, Tennessee. It was less about Florida getting the win and more about me goofing on Tennessee.
Oh, first and goal from the inch line or whatever it was.
Throwing the football, all the dumbassery that Tennessee
by all means, don't give it to the kid who could have rushed for 3 bills today.
They do it all the time. When you do that, and that's who you are, then I laugh at you. I don't even care if my arch rival's the one doing the inflicting of the pain. Kentucky not covering the receiver against Florida. That's ridiculous.
Oh, but I was actually mad about that.
Yeah, but that's twice in the same game. I'm like, you don't deserve to win.
Of course not, no.
If you can't cover a guy, you can't line up on a guy, screw you. I'm done here.
I was kind of pulling for Mark Stoops there,
at that point, I'm like,
bless his heart.
Coach better, buddy, because that's ridiculous.
He's in bless his heart territory, isn't he?
That's ridiculous. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my Ford truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Ravaged by ants.
Go to Bandito's Burritos.
Ah, the perfect lunch spot. A nearly impossible find. Thankfully for Tallahassee, we have Metro Deli. A downtown gem for over 15 years, Metro Deli is locally owned and features the best deli meats, cheeses, breads, and ingredients in the city. Enjoy daily specials and soups, salads and wraps. There's something for everyone. Metro Deli offers online ordering for pickup or delivery and will cater your office breakfast or lunch too. Tallahassee's perfect lunch spot is Metro Deli. MetroDeliTally.com. That's MetroDeliTally.com.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
If you're a small business, first impressions can make all the difference. With Grasshopper, you get all the features of a professional business phone system on your mobile phone. Choose a business phone number, make calls, and send texts. Stay connected and work from anywhere with features like Wi-Fi calling and our desktop app. Set up your account in minutes with no long-term contracts and 24/7 customer support. Make your small business big. Now get $20 off your first month when you visit grasshopper.com/radio. That's grasshopper.com/radio.
Febreze Car presents When Stinks Interrupt.
Thanks for the ride, sis.
No problem. Good flight?
Yeah, Oh.
Chicken nuggets. Chicken nuggets.
Did you stop?
Chicken.
For fast food?
Nuggets.
Not today. Why?
Oh, chicken nuggets.
Pro tip, sis. Pick up Febreze Car, then pick up your brother.
Febreze Car has 2 new ways to drive away embarrassing odors. Now available without heavy perfumes or with extra bold scent.
Breathe happy Febreze. La 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 la.
Save on your next oil change when you purchase 5 quarts of Valvoline Max Life Motor Oil and a MicroGuard filter for the price of Valvoline Conventional, just $24.99. Save big with Valvoline oil and filter specials at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm going to Gordo's. Gonna get some bungalow chungala at the Gordo's. Drink a margarita. See my man Eddie.
Dude, we're driving there now. I'm sitting next to you. If you got something to say, I'm here for you, bro.
It's better when we see each other at the Gordo's. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi. Developing story. The Cardinals are expected to hire Panthers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks as their new head coach. Plenty of work ahead for Wilks in Arizona, explains ESPN's Louis Riddick.
They don't have a quarterback. They have an offensive line that's in a state of transition that you could probably say contributed to Carson Palmer retiring. They have a wide receiver core that's, let's just say, been inconsistent, a franchise running back coming off of injury. They have some good pieces on defense. They have a pass rusher, they have a corner, and they have a playmaking safety.
Titans defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau won't return to Tennessee for the 2018 season. NBA, the relationship between the Spurs and star Kawhi Leonard has cooled off after months of discord centering on treatment, rehab, and timetables for Leonard's return from a right quads injury. Sources described to ESPN Leonard and his camp as being distant and disconnected from the organization. GM R.C. Buford denying any issues between the team and Leonard. Minnesota's Jimmy Butler with a sore right knee and Jamal Crawford with a sprained left big toe, both out tonight against the Clippers. Kentucky's out of the AP Top 25 men's college basketball poll for the first time in nearly 4 years.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Cameron Show 97.9 ESPN Radio. Villanova, top team in college basketball currently. Have you watched them? They're fun to watch play, man.
No, they lost to Butler again this year. Was that right?
Yeah.
I caught the end of that game, like most college basketball fans or sports fans. Hey, you get a text. Check it out. Last 30 seconds. Looks like an upset's going to happen.
Yeah.
And that is the extent to which, outside of highlights, I've seen Villanova.
What I think is funny is we get so hyper-focused on regional play that you might not realize Purdue's number 3 in the country. So like if you just walked up to somebody and said, guess what Purdue's ranked? They're number 3 team in the country. Now, the other problem with college basketball in general is these rankings don't mean anything.
Yeah. They just put it on Iowa on Saturday, did Purdue. I remember that from the halftime show and the postgame show for Florida State, Virginia Tech.
Virginia is the number 2 ranked team in the country. Duke is the number 4 ranked team in the country. So 2 of the top 4 teams in the country out of the ACC. North Carolina has moved into the top 10. It's a strong league, especially in a year in which, Clemson finds themselves in the top 20. Miami's in the top 25. You can just go on and on. A lot of ACC teams, and there are no easy nights. You see teams like NC State or Boston College that are much better than you realized, and Virginia Tech kind of falls in that category too. They're not great, but they're not terrible. So got to play well, man, or you're going to lose a lot of games. And that's why I said late last week, Florida State can go 8-10 in the ACC if things continue to hold in this pattern and make the NCAA tournament. It's not ideal. Don't want to have to sweat it out to that extent, but I think they could and still get in. I never had designs on winning the league, and at this point, you can all but rule that out with what Virginia is, 18-1 and undefeated in the ACC. You're not catching them.
Percent confidence for Wednesday night's game against Georgia Tech.
97%.
Woo!
Feel very good about that game. But that's Monday. Maybe on Wednesday I'll give you a different percentage. Just I'll feel it out, but I feel good.
Percent confidence for Saturday's game against Miami, knowing that there is a game between now and then.
60-40, yeah. I feel 55-45.
Okay.
I mean, I like this at home, man.
You're leaning towards a 2-0 week?
I am. I thought that was a real big win to go get that win. We'll talk about it again to start the next hour, but I do think that was a big win to go and get that victory over Virginia Tech, because there was a part of me, and I described it on Friday. I thought, man, with the way this league is, and we're not elite, we're good, but we're not elite, and Virginia can score. I thought you go lose that game, obviously people will become unhinged at that point, and you're 2-5, and you give yourself no margin for error. And I thought then they would maybe play with a little bit of the pressure on their shoulders coming home, and that's a recipe for disaster against good ACC teams. But they really did play loose. They played confidence. They played smart. They made shots. They had guys that needed to step up and show that they were okay, that they weren't shaken to their core with their confidence. They did. You saw other guys emerge. It's a good sign.
Who's your favorite player on this year's squad? Usually you have a guy that you circle, and you really have. I mean, Terrence Mann is the number 1 candidate for, face of the team and most consistent stat stuffer, but you don't really talk about a guy with the fondness you have in years past.
I don't, because I think that's indicative of what this team is, right? They got a lot of guys, and any given night he's my favorite player when he's making shots.
Well, yeah, there you go.
Over the weekend, MJ Walker was my favorite player.
It sounds like some Big Daddy J philosophy.
But
not
I'm
philanthropy
serious.
At all.
MJ Walker was great in this game, but there are times where, obviously, at the beginning of the year, Phil Kofer was my favorite player on this team.
Yeah.
I didn't think I'd say that. Any given night, Brian Angola, because I appreciate his moxie. I do appreciate that he's not afraid, and the moments aren't big for him. He can knock down shots, and that really emerged in the Duke game when he was hitting those shots late. I went, man, my guy doesn't care where he's taking these shots from and who it's against.
Yes, I agree with you. He has incredible moxie, and he is our most consistent three-point shooter. I feel pretty good if he's letting one go in rhythm and he's open.
Mm-hmm.
But can we talk about the end-of-game scenarios here? I get flopping as
it's beautiful.
He's part of the game.
Twice he's done it.
But there's also a soccer element to the way he does it. where he's writhing on the ground about getting hit in the face.
Well, he got hit in the face hard at the end. I'm not talking about the one where he was able to induce the foul call and they were having to look at the monitor.
Get number 5.
We don't need to look at that's the other thing, by the way. Can we stop looking at the damn monitor?
Well, the way he goes down.
It doesn't matter. They do it all the time.
And grabs his head. It looks like he might have gotten hit in the head, so they got to look for a flagrant. But they see that nothing even close happened.
No. But it's a foul. It was a foul. He didn't need to jerk his arms all up, but whatever. It is a foul. He's buying a call.
Roll around on the ground. That's overselling, man. That's Ric Flair.
But by the way, later on, he was writhing in pain because he did get drilled.
Boy who cried wolf, but he did. Yes,
well,
he did get popped
crushed.
there.
Yeah, they got those two of them hurt each other. Here's the only thing I'll say about it. I don't mind that he's able to. I mean, he'll get a reputation, but he is able to convince the referees of so and so's 5th foul. I mean, he's done it twice now, and if that kind of drama gets the other team's best player or one of their best players out of the game late, I'm fine with it. Carry on, sir.
You've got a replay from the time he did it at home, smiling and lifting his eyebrows after he gets the call.
He needs not do that because then officials are going to see that and be like,
they're going to see the flagrant thing, and as they're watching the review, go, "Well, this guy, are you kidding me? Like what is this?"
I just think
stop,
in
drop, and roll.
general, with college basketball, we don't have to be looking at the freaking monitor as much as we do. Can we play the games? We have gotten so sissified. In the NFL and college football and basketball, everything has to be looked at 47 times over to see that somebody didn't hurt somebody. It's sports, man. It's competition at its highest level. It's played by really athletic, really competitive people going at it. Somebody's going to get a nick and a cut here and there. Elbow may happen on a rebound. We don't have to look at everything and decide that somebody was trying to commit bloody murder and throw them out of games. Come on. I know I grew up in an era where dudes got clothesline and we didn't go back and look at it.
Sure.
It's a technical, go shoot your free throws, pal. That's the end of it. But I'm not saying we go back to that, but I don't need to look at everything.
Sure. What I will say is in the interest of consistency, if it was Virginia Tech's player who did that to draw our 5th foul, the flop is a flop, and I know that happens, and I'm not a big fan of it. But the manner in which that was done, if you upon review see something like that, you should assess a technical on the flopping party. That's what I would say if it was the other way, because that's more than once now. He will do that, and so if he doesn't get a key call in a key moment, don't be mad at the referee.
No.
Now he's got a reputation.
Sure, he does, but he's been able to convince officials of people's 5th foul. More than once. I've been very proud of him.
Useful when you can get it.
Very useful. It's well done. There are guys who are good at it. I'm not big on flopping either. I'm also not big on freaking reviewing everything all the time. I'm going to say it over and over again. When you watch, because Florida State was good last year, and because Florida State is really interesting and maybe on the cusp of being good this year, I watch every second of their games. We sit down and you and I talk about it, and we watch these games. And obviously, we do it for the show. We do it because we love the school, and we do it for lots of reasons. But anyhow, it then in turn leads me to watch the rest of the conference more and the rest of college basketball more. It's not just the Noles. So what ends up happening is that you notice the things that are great about the game and the things that are terrible about the game. In the last few years, there's no question that we've gotten to a place where we just have to look at everything time and again. They go back and check threes. They go back and check shot clock situations. They go back and check elbows. They go back and check flagrant, non-flagrant, intentional, non-intentional. All the time. Somebody falls down. Anybody falls down. Oh, let's go make sure that elbow didn't get a little crazy out there with the elbow. Man, come on.
Even shoulders in some cases, which is just,
We're balling.
Yeah.
We're balling. You go in the paint, there may be some contact.
Now, the rule, the NBA does it, I don't know that college does it quite the same. I believe you have to look at it. Maybe they do on the fly assess either or take away a point or give a point. But the idea that, all right, we're going to wait for the next TV timeout, in the flow of a first half or something like that.
That's better, though, by the way. Get that TV time and then go back and look at it.
But the idea, behind that is the one that we all want.
Which is the flow of the game.
In the flow of the game, as the action is still going on, someone else, it could be delegated, man. Someone else can have the job of saying, well, this is the adjustment we're going to make at the next whistle. But we don't need to have the on-court or on-field officials come confirm that. We can do that ourselves. It's not that big of a deal. Let's not turn around the TV monitor and bring these 3 guys over here so they can struggle to see what they need to see. I'll just take care of it for them because I am empowered as official number 4 or 5 to make this call in this moment. It makes it more efficient.
The thing I want to see happen in the next 5 years across sport is a greater efficiency with which we check monitors and replays. And you've got to find that inconsistency. The NFL has got to do it. College basketball, in this case, we're talking about, got to find a way to do it.
College football is terrible.
MLB has screwed it up. I mean, it almost goes against the spirit of the rules and what they're looking at on these plays at second base with slides. People holding down a glove on a guy's hip. He comes a millimeter off the bag. The naked eye would never be able to tell that he's still on the bat. We're going to call him out for that time. I hate it. I don't like it.
But sometimes it's a good thing and sometimes it's a bad thing that college football has it that they can buzz down on every play. So you don't have to worry about challenging as a coach. That's great. But the downside is that, we're not rolling here. If the NFL, you're in that situation as a coach, you have to decide, is 3rd and 6 worth it over 3rd and 4?
Okay, so you remember earlier this year, who was it that got thrown out of the game on the follow-through? They said it was our defensive player.
Oh, was that Pugh?
Was that Pugh? Yeah, it was Pugh. You're right.
That was the NC State game, wasn't it?
Yeah, you stop buzzing down for that, man. Come on now. That's against the spirit of the rule. It's against the spirit of the play. Nobody was intending to do anything there. That is a ridiculous call.
And the goofiest part of that rule is if you're going to do it 100%. So they didn't assess a 15-yard penalty, but they gave him a targeting infraction because there was no flag thrown on the field.
We've got to find – because I think going back a ways, we were all in favor. Almost all of us, very few exceptions. There were some lone voices out there who did in some ways get it right. They said, listen, I'm worried that it's going to become convoluted. It's going to ruin the flow of games. We're not going to be able to enjoy moments because we're going to be waiting on a replay. There were a few voices who said that about replay across the board. And I used to think, you're crazy. We've got the technology. If we can get it right, let's get it right and move on. I don't know, man. More and more, I find myself thinking they're not crazy. I suppose if we yanked away all replay, I'd see something egregious and go, oh, no, I can't live with this either. They would allow for something to stand that shouldn't, and it'd go against my team, and I'd be like, what are we doing? But, man, I gave that no account in the past, and now I do. Now I say, I'd like just to see the game and its natural rhythms, and let's go.
And stop with the flopping and writhing.
Final hour, fourth coming. Stay with.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
To watch your favorite sporting event, Hobbit American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9, happy hour drink specials, and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are coming in January to West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Barry knows school, he's keeping you comfortable. Barry knows school, you can put him to the test.
Seasons change, but your confidence in your home comfort system shouldn't. When you turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air, you'll be comfortable in your home all year long. This winter, take advantage of great rebates and 0% APR financing for 36 months. Learn more online at baranoac.com.
Barano Heating and Air Conditioning.
Florida license number CAC 057652.
Sports are defined by stats and performance, but here's a performance stat that no one wants to talk about. Erectile dysfunction affects half of all men over 40. That's 50%. If you're struggling with ED and other therapies haven't worked, isn't it time to feel like yourself again? Learn about a long-lasting ED solution from Coloplast to get you back in the game. Visit Dr. DeLay at Advanced Urology Institute, located at 2000 Centerpoint Boulevard, or call their office and set up an appointment today. 833-4-DRDELAY. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay. The sooner you seek treatment, the sooner you can get back to feeling like your normal self. That's 833-4, Dr. DeLay.
This is 97.9 ESPN Radio, WTSM, Woodville, Thomasville, Tallahassee. ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. The Cardinals are expected to hire Panthers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks as their new head coach. Plenty of work ahead for Wilks in Arizona, explains ESPN's Louis Riddick.
They don't have a quarterback. They have an offensive line that's in a state of transition that you could probably say contributed to Carson Palmer retiring. They have a wide receiver core that's, let's just say, been inconsistent, a franchise running back coming off of injury. They have some good pieces on defense. They have a pass rusher, they have a corner, and they have a playmaking safety.
Titans defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau won't return to Tennessee for the 2018 season. NBA, the relationship between the Spurs and star Kawhi Leonard has cooled off after months of discord centering on treatment, rehab, and timetables for Leonard's return from a right quads injury. Sources described to ESPN Leonard and his camp as being distant and disconnected from the organization. GM R.C. Buford denying any issues between the team and Leonard. Minnesota's Jimmy Butler with a sore right knee and Jamal Crawford with a sprained left big toe, both out tonight against the Clippers. Kentucky's out of the AP Top 25 men's college basketball poll for the first time in nearly 4 years.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Final hour of the Jeff Cameron Show, at least 4 today. Thanks for tuning to it. I'm Jeff, that's Tom. We're online, ESPNTallahassee.com. Good Monday, everybody. Good to be with you. If you missed portions of the program or have up to this point, go back, get caught up at your leisure. All 3 hours to be posted both on iTunes and in our own audio vault. That's a good thing. You can always email us too, by the way, jcs at 979 ESPNradio.com. Find me on Twitter at JCameronShow. WTSM app, good for your mobile devices. You can listen there. Go back, archive audio there as well. We're on YouTube. ESPN Tallahassee on YouTube will allow you to watch it. And if you go to Twitter again, you can tune into the 97.9 Twitter feed, and you'll find we're periscoping. That's what we're doing.
That's correct.
It's working.
So far, so good.
Holding up. That's a good thing.
Periscope is pretty much Twitter TV. I got a lot of questions about that this weekend. It's just basically Twitter TV. So there you go.
Main thing is it's working, and it's another means by which people could watch this program. Yay!
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good thing. So catch up. All right, our Super Bowl is set, as we've noted, much to the chagrin of anybody that's not a Patriots fan. Those guys are back in it again, and, man, I think the hard part is that we've seen that team. One of the clutch elements of what the New England Patriots do and the legacy of Tom Brady and why it is that I think that above and beyond just the winning, they're annoying. It's because frequently they look as if they're going to lose. New England is frequently in a position to lose the football game. Like, it's not a stretch to say they're in real trouble here, and they always come back in those moments, or it feels like they always come back in those moments. And this game was one of those, as it so often is. And in this case, as I said at the start of the show in the 3 o'clock hour, a lot of Jags fans with heavy hearts today listening to the program, it's a 2-score lead, and you're in the fourth quarter. You can't ask for a scenario to have played out up to that point any better than that. And yet, you couldn't help but feel like a couple of pivotal moments in the game in which Jacksonville is unable to make the plays and New England does, that New England was going to come back and win this football game. It is the oddest thing, and I guess maybe, once again, as a testament to the greatness of New England and to perhaps Tom Brady more than anybody else. Tom, it's 20-10, and when they're going on that drive to make it 20-17, I'm of the belief, and I've even said it in the game, if they score here, they're going to win this game. Like, you're assuming 2 scores are going to take place against that defense that has played as well as the Jags have through 3 quarters on the road against the Patriots, and yet you still feel like they're not going to get these stops, and that guy's going to make those plays. And it happened. Yeah,
they go 80-plus yards in 6 plays, go right down the field.
Man, it just...
And what's crazy about that situation is it came right after you feel like, oh, their magic is up. And that's something we didn't touch on in the first hour, which is the trick play that turns into a fumble recovery for the Jags. And, who's to say if the whistle isn't blown, maybe Myles Jack returns it for something at the very least, gets to midfield. But that play happens, that New England is desperate enough to go into the bag of tricks. Mm-hmm. It works, moderately. It's not a touchdown play, but it works. Keeps momentum in their favor. They're moving into Jacksonville territory.
And you create the turnover.
And you create a turnover. You think, well, that is it, and we are done here. And that just wasn't the case. Yikes, man. It was all about that end-of-half situation and how Jacksonville managed that.
Yeah, and I'll get back to that because that certainly wasn't good. But, again, right after that, they get the turnover, and they, again, are very conservative in the fourth quarter. They run the ball, then it's 2nd and long. It's followed by an incomplete pass, followed by an incomplete pass, and a punt. And I feel like I get it. On the one hand, they clearly are sending the message, and they have it multiple times this year at multiple points. They don't trust their quarterback. I jokingly said that I felt like watching that game that Jacksonville was more concerned with their own quarterback than they were Tom Brady. I mean, the way they called it late. Now, on the other hand, it's very simple after we know what happened to go back and say, well, you can't do that. But honestly, you can first guess a little bit when you've watched New England over the years and you've watched Tom Brady over the years. He just came back from a 28-3 deficit in the third quarter of a Super Bowl. So you feel like you got to go get it. You got to go win this game. You got to go make that play and make it happen. If you're concerned about your quarterback, which I understand, but he played pretty well. If you're concerned about your quarterback, I think you got to let him throw the ball if you're going to throw the ball on first down, not on third and behind the chains. And they consistently, by running on first down after the Patriots begun to gain advantage at the line of scrimmage and get stops, and partly that might be because they didn't respect the deep ball from Jacksonville, they're able to get stops on first down to set up 2nd and long, 3rd and long. And in doing that, now you're asking a quarterback you don't trust to throw in situations that are certainly not to his benefit. I just, that's a little bit of what I would have questioned there. You talk about what ends up happening at the end of the half. How many times as a fan have you watched, whether it's Florida State or your professional team that you love, have situations where they get inexcusable penalties or inexcusably have to use timeouts in situations where clearly they're just mismanaging the situation. Because in your mind, you say that should never happen. You're a professional football team. You're a professional football coach. You're a professional football player. You got to know these situations. This isn't high school. This isn't, pee-wee football where mistakes are made and you use them as lessons in this situation. No, man. You cannot have a delay of game coming out of a timeout. It can't happen, and it does, and it costs Jacksonville dearly.
Yeah, that's there's 2:23 to go on the clock in that half when the delay of game is assessed. And on that play, which was first
anyway,
down,
yeah.
The flag comes in. I'm wondering, is it a hold? Is it something? Because it looks like an in-action play and within the action of the play. It's a first down. But then after that, you complete a short pass, and for some reason, you don't punt you punt before the 2-minute warning, I should say. You rush to get out there, and the clock is ticking. There's a penalty, whatever, decline, I guess it was. But the clock is running, and the play clock would cover the situation. So you can wait till the 2-minute warning and then punt. I mean, even that makes a bit of a difference here.
Yeah.
You have Jacksonville mismanaging a situation given that you have a delay of game and then you don't let it run down to the 2-minute warning before you punt. So it's a sign that, things aren't operating at peak efficiency on their sideline. Then you have the correct call on the Gronkowski catch or incompletion.
Incompletion, but he gets blown up. They call. We can hate the rule. We can hate that it puts defenders in a terrible situation, but they got to call it that way. That's a legitimate call, sure.
They have to call it. And then you get a penalty that, for me, is questionable, the pass interference.
Down the sideline, yeah.
Out of all of those events, the referees are involved on one, and it's a big one, but it shouldn't ever get to that situation because Jacksonville should be scoring points on that drive before the half, and the points should put them up 17 14 points at the break, 14 at minimum, maybe 17 if you score a touchdown on that drive. That's the hard part for me. That 10-point swing changes the course of everything.
When you go back to that and you see how the game ends, certainly you can look at that situation. There are a couple of others you can look at where you get frustrated. I know today Jacksonville fans say, man, you're telling me New England committed one penalty? One penalty this entire game? We get called. Jacksonville was only called for 6. I'll say this for the officials. That is a disparity, yes, but at least we got to see a pretty clean game. You didn't see a lot of penalties, and I can say that 3 or 4 of the 6 that I can think of off the top of my head I think are legit. What you're more upset about is maybe some calls that are missed. For example, on that run at the end, Telvin Smith is being held.
Clearly at the point of attack, too.
Yeah, now you got to call that, but holding calls are missed all the time.
They are, but again, with all that said, and as badly as they managed that moment, they're up 20-10, and Brady's got the ball inside his own 15-yard line, and there's 12 minutes to go.
And you've got the unit on the field that has been as good as any in football this year. Yeah,
there's only 12 minutes to go.
It's why it's again, you got to give credit, begrudgingly so maybe, but you do. I mean, you had no doubt they were going to put together that drive, and then you put game pressure then. In that situation on a team that's inexperienced, that hasn't been there, hasn't had to do that, and they're going against a guy that really seems to be, for the most part, unflappable. Barring moments where you can get pressure, and this is true of any quarterback. I know people love to isolate these things, and they'll say things like, well, you got to get pressure up the middle on Brady so that he can't step into throws. Well, hell, that's any quarterback. No quarterback. I mean, when the Giants did that to Tom Brady, I remember people going, see, the Giants did what other people couldn't do. Brady can't handle pressure at his feet. No quarterback can handle pressure in the pocket at his feet. He can't step into throws. So, yeah, you'd like to do that. And by the way, that's another element of this game that you got to give New England credit for. The first half, Jacksonville's getting pressure on Brady. They get the 2 sacks in the first half, and you're thinking, okay, here we go. They only had 1 sack in the second half. That's on a blow-by. The guard gets beat. That's the only time. At the end of the game, when Brady's got to make throws, in particular to Amendola, he's down his number one weapon in Gronk, and he's got all day to throw the football. And that he's going to make those throws. That guy, arguably the greatest in the history of the game, when given time, is going to find somebody, and he did.
Yeah, I mean, just consider all these numbers, too. Jacksonville holds the ball for 35 minutes. They had it, for
everything about Jacksonville, statistically speaking.
Everything about this game
is theirs.
They hold the Patriots at 2.4 yards on the ground per carry. They rush for 100 yards, does Jacksonville. Bortles throws for 273, doesn't throw a pick, and throws a touchdown.
Yeah, he played well enough to win, like I said.
And you're talking about that per carry, right? 19 carries for 46 yards. That includes the game sealer. So for much of this game, you are not gaining anything.
They got nothing on the ground.
On the ground.
How good is that
and
guy?
And you don't have the ball.
How
ever.
good is that guy?
Yeah.
So my point
and Gronk gets knocked out of the game.
Right. So my point would be you take almost any other quarterback, and I'm loath to prattle on about Brady because people already do. But you take almost any other quarterback and you completely remove the running game.
And you lose the turnover battle, 1-0.
So I would just tell you that in that situation where you're getting your running game's crushed, the world knows you have to throw against that defense, and you've lost your number one weapon. Any other quarterback in that league loses the game. That's him. That's that son of a gun. That's the thing. The other game, by the way, is pretty easy to understand. This game couldn't have started better for Minnesota. They come out right off the bat, 9 plays, 75 yards, right down the field for a touchdown, and you're saying, okay, that's a hell of a message to send. And then they don't make another play. They get completely dominated. Philadelphia, both sides of the ball, infinitely better in this game. They convert 10 of 14 on third down against, statistically speaking, the best third down defense that the NFL has seen in 40 years. Foles was great, buying time in the pocket, throwing accurately. Really, there's just nothing you can't say about what Philadelphia did on both sides of the ball to dominate this game. They were completely the better team.
There's one throw that Foles makes in the first half on a third down where you go, oh. Well,
yeah, it's going to be that kind of party.
It's uncomfortable because, I'm rooting for the Vikings, but I don't have the vested interest.
Yeah, you're not emotionally involved as much as certainly your girlfriend and their friends. And
so you can see, things with a little bit more clarity and objectivity, and you go, oh, so he had to adjust because there was pressure in the pocket, and then he sidearms a ball 20 yards down the field.
On the money.
On the money. That was a good read on third down, facing pressure, and it's a first down. Oh, so it's funny, that's the Nick Foles that's here today.
I thought about you, by the way, because you texted me at halftime, and you were like, they needed to get out of the half. They couldn't get out of the half.
Yes.
Yeah, you couldn't get out of the half. I know. We've all been there where our team's up against the ropes, and you're going, get to halftime.
Yeah,
get to your corner.
Well,
take a deep breath. They couldn't get out of the half.
It should be 14-10.
Right.
The strip sack that you're talking about. It's 14-10 at the break. All right, you make your adjustments and you get out of here.
Got a chance, right.
But how many times do we see it, no matter the sport? You can't get out of a quarter.
Yeah.
Can't get out of.
It's an avalanche.
You got a media timeout on the road in a college basketball game.
Yeah, we really need this timeout.
Right, yeah, we just need a whistle. Give me a whistle. Or you're on a power play, you're on a penalty kill in a hockey game, and you just need a goalie to make a save. You need a whistle in the worst way.
Well, it really is a fighter backed up against the ropes, withstanding a flurry, and there's 20 seconds left in the round, and you're going, okay, you could get knocked out. I need you to go. Come on, man. Hang in there. Clinch.
Right.
Clinch.
Yeah.
Oh, he's still getting hit. Oh, they're going to call it.
Right. And every sport has its own speed, too.
Yeah.
Because, you're like, can I get a rocket shot right at the shortstop?
Yeah.
And then we can put,
get out of this.
Our setup man in because he's out of gas.
Minnesota was reeling, and then they were reeling, and then they were reeling, and you give Philadelphia a lot of credit, by the way. They put their foot on the gas. They did something a little different than what I was saying that in the Jacksonville game. Philadelphia called the game aggressively.
Yeah.
The flea flicker.
And
they're like, we ain't having this nonsense.
And that's what they told Aaron Andrews at the half. She said, he told me, mark it down. We're going to play aggressively in the second half. And I thought, well, you're the NFL's coaches. We'll see about that. Yes, they did.
Not afraid.
That's what you need, though.
All in, man.
That's what you need in 2 weeks if you're Philly.
We'll see if when the Super Bowl's on the line and they're up 10 points in the third or fourth quarter, if they stay that aggressive, right? I mean, that's... Got to have it. You almost have to convince yourself and tell your assistant coaches and tell all your players ahead of time that is what we are going to do. And screw it. Throw caution to the wind. Hey, so Philadelphia's up 27-10. Start of the fourth quarter against New England. Philly has the ball on their own 20. What do you do? Well, look, I mean, you can make the argument they should run the ball, run the clock. They're up 27-10, but we've seen this thing before. You almost have to tell yourself to convince yourself, I am going to call the game as if it's a 10-point game, a 7-point game, a tie game.
We're down 3.
I'm playing to win the game. What would I call here if I were being aggressive? And then do it, because we've seen too many times that other dude make those plays, like always. make those plays.
It's funny. Perhaps I should have for prep purposes, but before this segment, I did not look at the box score or the team stats for the AFC title game because I know what I saw. And I remember the TOP disparity in the third quarter when they're flashing it, and Jacksonville's closing in on doubling.
No, Jacksonville's doing what they do.
Everything right. But I wanted to see Brady's numbers, and sure as you know what, he's got a quarterback rating over 100, throws for nearly 3 bills. He doesn't throw a pick. He was sacked 3 times, but you're right. I forgot about that third one. 2 of them came early in the game.
2 of them were early, yeah. They only had 1 in the second half. But that's the problem is they didn't get pressure in the fourth quarter.
There's a sense of helplessness when you don't get pressure. I mean, we know that as Bucs fans.
This year he did it.
You feel naked without that pressure.
Well, we did it every week. We couldn't get pressure. We made average quarterbacks look like Tom Brady. But when we actually faced Tom Brady and he had time, he made a sidearm throw to the sideline across the far hash. I'm like, what the hell is that?
That's where if they had a camera on the living room yesterday with Foles, when he makes that throw, they're talking over here. I lean back in the chair and go, ooh. This looks a little different.
Well, you guys are screwed.
That was a 99-mile-an-hour fastball with 6 inches of break.
Well, when they couldn't get out of the
sinking.
When you texted me, I did want to text you back, but I was afraid that I didn't know.
My phone was on the table or something.
Yeah, I thought I was about to go. This is over. Because Philly's like, really good on defense.
It's like the car rental lady from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. 2 simple words.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah, I was like, it's a toughie. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Sorry, boys, I did not have time to pack.
We got this.
It's right here, guys.
We got this.
I thought I could handle it.
We got this.
Moving doesn't have to be a hassle. Call us first at 2 Men and a Truck. No matter the move, home or business, we'll make it a smooth one.
I forgot something.
We got this.
When you're in need of auto repairs, look no further than Nice Tire and Auto Service. Nice has been in business for 16 years with long-term, knowledgeable sales associates. They have the latest wheel balancing machine in the industry. And for passenger vehicles, they service AC, brakes, suspension, tune-ups, and much more. Never sit through a long wait. Nice Tire and Auto has 10 service bays to get you back on the road quickly. If you have tire problems, check out their large inventory with various Goodyear and Michelin tires. Nice Tire and Auto Service, 4792 Bluntstown Highway, 574-4100.
I'm talking tough, like a state of mind. Tough, like a soldier on the front line. Tough when it gets rough, like my poor truck, always enough. I'm talking tough.
Franklin Spring Creek Ford, the place to find your next truck in southern Georgia.
I'm talking tough.
Hey y'all, we're Chris and Preston from Low Cash. Head to Franklin Spring Creek Ford and see them about all of your vehicle needs.
American Grill, voted best wings in Tallahassee by Tally Awards 3 years in a row. They have daily lunch specials, all under $9. Happy hour drink specials and happy hour on Friday, 2 p.m. to close. Darts are coming in January to West Pensacola Street. Hobbit American Grill keeps it local with a wide variety of locally crafted beers, plus a full bar. Hobbit American Grill, 3 locations to choose from: 400 Capitol Circle Southeast, 2020 West Pensacola Street, and 5032 Capitol Circle Southwest. Visit them online at myhobbitonline.com.
Games for Less, the only locally owned and operated gaming store in town, has Tallahassee's largest selection of new and used video games and game systems. The future of video gaming is at Games for Less, where they have both the PS4 and Xbox One. It's time to trade in your old systems and elevate your gaming experience now. Games for Less is also your headquarters for the best in retro gaming. Atari 2600, original Nintendo, Super NES, or Sega Genesis, you name it. They got it at Games for Less. Games for Less, the Super Walmart Shopping Center on Appalachia Parkway. Give them a call today at 850-219-3535. That's Games for Less.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMC Cadillac is back at it, supporting the High School Scholar Athlete of the Month on 97.9 ESPN Radio. Listen every Wednesday to hear our monthly winners. Check them out at Dale Earnhardt Jr. Buick GMCCadillac.com.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do.
every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
Hey, this is Travis with Parker Brothers Roofing. No one besides us wants to hear that you need a new roof. It's one of the biggest home improvements you have to make, and Parker Brothers Roofing understands. We now offer financing for 0% over 60 months. Yes, that's 5 years. Call us today for 5 years interest-free financing on that new roof. 656-8112. That's 656-8112, or go to parkerbrothersroofing.net.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
I'm going to Gordo's. Gonna get some bungalow chungala at the Gordo's. Drink a margarita. See my man Eddie. Dude, we're driving there now. I'm sitting next to you. If you got something to say, I'm here for you, bro. It's better when we see each other at the Gordo's.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Are you ready to experience an awesome fishing expedition? Sea Quarters Marina is home to several great charter services. All charters are customized based upon the types of fishing opportunities available and the type of fishing the customer requests. The Northwest Gulf Coast offers a variety of different angling adventures thanks to unspoiled back county islands and crystal clear flats. For more information regarding charters, call Sea Quarters Marina at 697-8400 or online at seaquartersmarina.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show. Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
Noles got a big win on the road over the weekend, knocking off Virginia Tech. That sets us up to go to 500 if you can get the win at home at the TLC Double C this Wednesday against Georgia Tech. All right. So you don't defend all that well. Virginia Tech makes 71% of their twos. But you do win the game comfortably, 91-82. Not great on defense right now, but man, are we fun and up-tempo and pretty damn good on offense when we're rested. And that rest obviously went a long way. Having their legs underneath them will let Florida State go out and make an awful lot of shots and kind of set the tone in this basketball game by taking the lead in the first half and never relinquishing that. At one point, the Noles in the second half really come out the exact way you would draw it up, right? How often do we watch games and say, why can't we do this? Why can't we do that? Why do I watch some teams take care of business more efficiently? Listen, you go into halftime with a slim lead and you come out and you go on a 20-9 run over the first 8 minutes of the second half on the road and establish a 61-47 lead. That is what you do if you want to procure a road victory. That's exactly what you do.
Love the gusto there.
Well, because I get so tired of we don't do this, we don't do that. How come we never do this? We never. Man, you come out on the road, you take the lead, you take a lead into halftime, you come out to start the second half. Obviously, Virginia Tech's going to make adjustments. Obviously, they're going to be desperate at home trying to defend home court. And what happens? Get you some is what happens. 20-9 over the first 8 to start the second half. 61-47 proves to be insurmountable. That was beautiful, and it was led by M.J. Walker. Couple of threes, had a layup, had a mid-range jumper. Good to see M.J. Walker play that brand of basketball. Florida State's 14-5. They're 3-4 now in the conference. Big game coming up on Wednesday. Right now, as you sit today, you sit in a good place. Standings read as follows, with Virginia, number 2 ranked team in the country, undefeated, 7-0 in the ACC, 18-1. They're going to win the conference, folks. They're good, and they don't show any signs that that's letting up. I'm not worried about that. They've won 10 straight. This was never a discussion about winning the conference. It'd be nice, but that's not what we were talking about. We're talking about making the tournament, following up on a great season a year ago, becoming somewhat consistent, losing NBA talent, and then getting back to the NCAA tournament. So you're in a position. Louisville, who only has the one loss in conference, Florida State should have given them their second loss, but admittedly, that's a real good basketball team who's won 4 in a row, top 15 RPI, 5-1 in the ACC. they're 2-1 on the road, 3-0 at home. Duke is in third at 5-2 in the conference. They haven't lost at home yet. They're 2-2 on the road. North Carolina, whom Florida State beat, is 5-2 in the conference. Then it's Clemson, Miami, Georgia Tech, and Florida State. Of course, Georgia Tech's 3-3. They come to Tallahassee this week. Florida State's 3-4 with a chance to get to 500.
There's a lot of things I like about this game. I was just looking at the full box, and a lot of things that you see on the box score actually translate to the way it looked when we were watching the game. It's a clean game, offensively. Yeah. Not a ton of turnovers. Your assisted turnover is 16 to 10, which is fine. I mean, that's nice. And you look at points off turnovers. We had 20 to their 8. So that's a big one, about live ball turnovers and the flow of the play. I mean, how many times have we seen in the slump here turnovers that lead to easy baskets for the opponent? And so you're not even helping yourself when you're not that great in the half court. Now you're giving up easy baskets in transition. Mm-hmm. That makes it all the harder to win. I loved what I saw out of C.J. Walker, especially in that first half. He needed to have a bit of an offensive surge just to see the ball go through the hoop. It's 3 3-pointers. That's really big. And the rebounding battle, I get it. Virginia Tech outscores us 42-34 in the paint. They hit 70% of their 2-pointers. A lot of things right around the basket. But the rebounding margin is still plus 12 to the good. This just strikes me as a game of doing what you are supposed to do. We are at a certain level in the ACC, a certain level of caliber. We believe that if you're going to play some of these lesser teams, you have to take care of business. And we were in control after the first 4 or 5 minutes of this game. We were in control of our destiny in this game throughout, and we took care of it. That's what you're supposed to do. Remind us that the floor isn't down here really, really low.
No. And I didn't panic last week when we talked about the losses. I thought, okay, they need to have a good game. They need to have a good showing. I didn't even say they had to win the game. They needed to go 2-1 over the next 3 games, what I said prior to the game against Virginia Tech. They're in a position to go 3-0. Knock on wood. We'll see. But I wanted to see the sea legs. I wanted to see them get right again. Look like a team that, felt good as they rose up to take shots. And when you go back and look at that first half, you're on the road trying to win a road game and reestablish yourself as a good shooting team. Helps to shoot 57%, 56.7%. I mean, that is, yes, okay. 6 of 13 from beyond the arc. 13-6 assist-to-turnover ratio in that first half. You out-rebound Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech made a lot of shots, and yet you still have the lead because you shot so well, and then you come out and go on that run.
Well, yeah, both teams shoot over 53% from the field. Now, we hit more threes, and that's one of the, we had a better percentage of our threes, and we hit a hell of a lot more free throws, and that's where a little bit of the advantage lies there is in the efficiency in those situations. But, as close as Virginia Tech brought the game down the stretch, and again, they have a couple of chances with open looks where we have some breakdowns that you really would like to see cleaned up when we play better teams to get this thing to within 2 possessions or down to a possession. And you say, phew, in those moments. But in the flow of the game, it just was apparent that we are better than that team is. And that's good to remind ourselves that, listen, we get into a bit of a slump here. After looking like we can compete with any top 10, top 15 in the country on a given night, which I still think is also true. But just show me where the bottom is. Because if we go up, to Blacksburg this past Saturday and they shoot us out of the gym and we look...
Well, then we'd be desperate.
We don't have the confidence back. Well, now you go, are they ever going to get it back? But we shake off a bit of a slow start for the first couple of minutes. And then we run our offense, and we get the shots we like, and we hit the shots we like.
When you go to the free throw line on the road to salt the game away, listen, Virginia Tech at the end of that game is making shots or getting layups at the rim. Florida State is content, or so it seems, to allow for that because they don't want to give up the 3-ball. And Virginia Tech shoots the 3-ball well. I thought we were a little too lax in giving up the easy layups at the rim. But they're not fouling, and they're not trying to let them get open looks at 3. So they're giving them baskets, and Virginia Tech, consequently, is then fouling basically on the inbounds, just after the inbounds. You are telling your team as a coach, and the players certainly are aware of this, we have this game if we make free throws. It's a fundamental element of the game. Can you make your free throws? And I have to say I really liked the confidence that each one of those individuals at the end of the game stepped to the free throw line with. All of those guys stepped to that line with the look of somebody who was ready to make a foul shot. They never looked nervous there.
Yeah, the most important of which is MJ Walker, right? Because he's new to the party. This is all a new experience.
Completely confident.
And that's a really loud building. Ask anybody who's ever played in that building. It's weird, it's awkward, but it is loud. It pours over the court. So to be able to handle that situation is really big.
I think Angola had a miss late, but it was a good free throw. It should have gone in.
Yeah,
it hit every part of the basket.
8 of his 10 for the game.
I mean, but it was ridiculous. That was like it was down.
Yeah.
Even the misses, you thought, that's a confident
man looked
shot.
comfortable in the moment,
right,
and he has a line drive that can go back iron at any
He's
moment.
made 12 straight free throws, by the way. So you're in a situation where a lot of good things happen. Ladies won on the road against Louisville. That's a big deal because Louisville was number 2 in the country and undefeated at the time. So the women's basketball team also had a triumphant weekend. That's good news. They welcome in Notre Dame, a top 10 team coming up this weekend. So that's good. By the way, tickets are $1. If you're going over there to the ladies' game, you can get in for $1. That's right. The Muffet McGraw in Notre Dame, Florida State this weekend. Rally the troops, man. Basketball school around here. For the time being.
For the time being, yeah. Signing days in a couple weeks. Florida State baseball starts soon enough. I got you. Super Bowl's in a couple of weeks. But all right. I mean, we had years where you could not pivot this way, and we had to do this show, and that's fine. I love this show. I love what I do for a living, and we found ways, but it's nice now that you don't have to conjure up something. You don't have to just make up a reason to be talking about a product that doesn't have consequence. No, they're legit. And being about town over the weekend, I ran into Florida State play-by-play announcer Eric Llewellyn, and I asked him, because we're inside of 30 days now from FSU baseball.
He's got to be pumped. That's a real good baseball team this year.
Well, the whispers, because of the nuances. They can pitch. They like what they can do top to bottom. That some players have improved.
Did he whisper national champs?
Hell no. No, I don't think anybody puts that out there.
Well, it's an unfair thing to say about baseball's, how it is. But if I run into Eric Llewellyn, I want him to whisper national championship good. If he's listening now, Eric, you go ahead and do that when we see each other, buddy.
He may send you an audio message.
He could do that. It would be freaky. Please don't whisper into your phone and send it to me. Jeff Cameron Show, 97.9 ESPN Radio.
It's such a drag to want something sometime. One thing leads to another, I know. Was it time?
As you prepare for cooler weather and get winter ready, the City of Tallahassee offers a few tips to help you save energy, water, and money. Sign up today for a free energy audit, and an auditor will come to your home at your convenience to examine your structure and your energy and water systems. After the audit, they'll provide recommendations for energy and water saving improvements, and it's all free. Another popular way to save energy and lower your bill is to switch to natural gas. The City of Tallahassee offers rebates on natural gas appliances. To find out if natural gas is available in your area, visit talgov.com/YOU. Check out the City of Tallahassee's Ceiling Insulation Grant Program. The city may pay up to 80% of the installation cost, up to $400. And the City of Tallahassee's Nights and Weekends program is an excellent way to reduce your electrical rate and offers customers an alternative rate option with a lower price on electricity used during nights, weekends, and holidays. Having an energy-saving winter is easy with all these great products and services. Call 891-4U. That's 891-4968 to learn more and be winter ready.
Hi, Chris Kraft for Kraft Nissan. As most of you know, it's that time of year again. Tax refund time. What does that mean for all of us? It means that every single car dealer in town will be trying to shout the loudest for you to bring in your tax refund. Bring in your W-2s, and they will put you in a car. A used car that is nothing like what you really want. Well, guess what? Kraft Nissan's New For You program is an absolute game changer. We don't need your tax return. We don't need to see your W-2. And absolutely the best of all, we will not sell you an overpriced used car. And that is exactly why at Kraft Nissan, we call it the New For You program. We will plug your information into our system, which approves 4 out of 5 people with damage credit, and at the end of the day, you will drive away in a brand new Nissan, with or without a tax refund. You know the deal. Recently divorced? No problem. Recent bankruptcy? No problem. Credit score under 600? No problem. And it's not tied to taxes. Come see how easy it is for you to drive away in a new Kraft Nissan. And remember, if you don't see the Kraft tag in your car, you paid too much. Way too much. Kraft Nissan on Mahan Drive between Academy Sports and Costco.
Parker Brothers Roofing says don't play games with your roof. Protect your home and your family. The Parker Brothers tell you the truth. We'll fix your roof, 'cause it's what we do. With quality, integrity, and pride. Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
customers constantly tell us that they're getting several estimates to compare apples to apples. You ever bite into an apple and find out the inside is rotten? Cheap roofing quotes are just like that rotten apple. Quote looks shiny and delicious because it's the cheapest, right? But you wind up with that rotten apple that leaks or starts to fail immediately. All roofing quotes are not equal. Cheap estimates equal cheap materials, subpar labor, or both. For quality that lasts, call us at 656-8112.
Parker Brothers Roofing, professional every time. Stay safe and dry inside.
License number CCC 049350.
The Starlight Lounge presents An Evening with the Progressive Box.
Oh, what a great audience. Let's dim the lights for this next one. Nope, too much. There it is. Gotta get things just right. Like Progressive's Name Your Price tool. Tell us what you want to pay, and we help you find coverage options that fit your budget. And now, the mood is right. Wait, the lights are back on again. Trudy, can you? And now it's completely dark.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This Day in Sports brought to you by Superlube. Superlube, 19 Tallahassee area locations. Quick, convenient, no appointment necessary.
This Day in Sports history.
January 22nd, 1967. Kobe Bryant had a night to remember against the Toronto Raptors, pouring in 81 points, the second most in a single game in NBA history. The Raptors came into the Staples Center as one of the worst defensive teams, and Kobe took advantage of that. He made a remarkable 28 field goals and 18 free throws.
ESPN Radio Sports Center.
I'm Christine Lisi, developing story. The Cardinals are expected to hire Panthers defensive coordinator Steve Wilks as their new head coach. Plenty of work ahead for Wilks in Arizona, explains ESPN's Louis Riddick.
They don't have a quarterback. They have an offensive line that's in a state of transition that you could probably say contributed to Carson Palmer retiring. They have a wide receiver core that's, let's just say, been inconsistent, a franchise running back coming off of injury. They have some good pieces on defense. They have a pass rusher, they have a corner, and they have a playmaking safety.
Titans defensive coordinator Dick LeBeau won't return to Tennessee for the 2018 season. NBA, the relationship between the Spurs and star Kawhi Leonard has cooled off after months of discord centering on treatment, rehab, and timetables for Leonard's return from a right quads injury. Sources described to ESPN Leonard and his camp as being distant and disconnected from the organization. GM R.C. Buford denying any issues between the team and Leonard. Minnesota's Jimmy Butler with a sore right knee and Jamal Crawford with a sprained left big toe, both out tonight against the Clippers. Kentucky's out of the AP Top 25 men's college basketball poll for the first time in nearly 4 years.
To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage. And with Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
This is the Jeff Cameron Show on 97.9 ESPN Radio.
So we did talk about the somewhat difficult task of appreciating sustained excellence from an organization that you loathe, just as your perspective changes as you get older. Greatness is greatness. You so seldomly see it for any length of time at all, and when you do, you can at least admit that there's something to be said for that and appreciate the ride a little bit. Many of you responded, "That's just not true, Jeff. I cannot. They can go to hell." You know what it is with the Patriots more than I bet you that. Okay, so my sentiment, if you missed it earlier in the show, was this: that as I've gotten older, if I could speak, helps when you're a talk show host. That as I've gotten older, I'm more capable of taking a step back and somewhat objectively looking at sustained levels of excellence, even if it comes from a team that I don't particularly care for or that have sustained that excellence at the expense of my favorite team or whatever it might be, an appreciation, just as a sports fan, of saying, that's really amazing, and I'm glad I got to see it. When I first started in the radio, I used to talk about how I always wanted to see the best of the best do incredible things, even if it was at the expense of my favorite team, because I wanted to be the old man that someday could have my grandson on my knee and say, I saw Michael Jordan, the greatest there ever was, or whatever it would be, Tiger Woods or Jack or whomever, right? And that as a sports fan and as somebody who grew up playing sports all the time and admiring certain athletes and coaches and consistency that they had in their game or they had as coaches or they had in their league, that, someday maybe my team could reach that pinnacle. And I imagine, that there are plenty of people as we age who can take that step back and go, well, I wish it were my team. It's not, but I don't begrudge them. I wish it were my school or my coach or my favorite player or my favorite team doing this. It's not, and maybe we'll learn from them, take a cue from them, and make it happen for ourselves. But the problem with the Patriots for so many people is the whole Spygate thing. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not Deflategate. Nobody cares about – if you care about Deflategate, you're looking for a stupid reason. Because you know what? The ball being deflated like it was, and that it happens all the time around the league. We found that out by having Brad Johnson on. We found that out from having other people who cover the league talk about quarterbacks doing that, and whatever. And the game wasn't decided because of that. We know that. It's Spygate. It's this idea that there was sustained cheating for a long period of time that gave them unfair. Now, they proved later on, above and beyond, he did as a coach, he did as a quarterback, they did as an organization, that they were great either way. I mean, the year after that, when they most assuredly weren't looking at tapes of people's practices, they went undefeated, went 18-0 before losing the Super Bowl. So they were great regardless.
Well, and there's an element, too, that if you're playing a team in the playoffs, of course, if they have some sort of wrinkle that you could find early, that would be to your benefit. But the film is the film, and what they do is what they do by that point in the season. So you kind of know each other. It's just a matter of what can you do to stop what I do well. If my quarterback gets through progressions 1 to 4, it doesn't matter if you stop 2 and 3, 1 and 4. He's going to find the right guy. But for me, I think the hard part is, if you look at the Alabama situation, save for the fact that we had 6 losses this year. 6.
6 of them.
6 losses.
Yeah, 6 of those.
I feel like we're on the brink of competing with that team all the time. When I watch the Patriots on television, it's not just
that way.
It feels like it's a different sport.
Yeah,
I'm
when
like,
you watch
all
the Bucs, you're like, no, we're not quite there.
My football league experience is over. Now I'm going to watch the real football league for the real championships. Now, if we have a dog in the fight and get to the second or third round of the NFL playoffs, that is to say, we get to division weekend or championship weekend, perhaps I watch the Patriots game with greater interest and I say, please, somebody beat them, because I don't want to even think about being up 10 points on the Patriots when my team makes the Super Bowl. And here they come charging back, or 28-3 in some circumstances. But right now, it feels like it's in a different world. Alabama is close to home. So that is the one where I go, whew.
And yet, one thing should give you hope, and I think this is the other reason for the frustrations, and I talked about it earlier in the show, but to reiterate, the hard part of stomaching New England and their level of dominance and their sustained excellence is that they were frequently in a position to lose. They often look as if they're about to lose. I mean, they were down 2 scores in the fourth quarter yesterday. Go back and look at the Super Bowl results. They beat Atlanta. They were down 28-3 in the second half. So what's happening is people's hopes, dreams, wishes, all of it, it's there. They can taste it. They see it. It's going to happen. They're going to win the game until they don't. It's as if they have the rug pulled out from under them. That adds to the level of frustration. So New England wins that game 34-28. Previous to that, they won the Super Bowl. Seattle's on the 1-yard line, on the 2-yard line. And they choose not to give the ball to Marshawn Lynch, and they throw a pass inexplicably. And New England wins the game 28-24. Prior to that, you got to go back to find the other games. Now, obviously, when they lost to the Giants, 21-17. But even then, you're thinking, oh, gosh, they're going to,
Yeah.
The Patriots play really close games. When they go to the Super Bowl, they don't blow people out. 24-21, the last time they played Philadelphia in the Super Bowl, and that's the game where T.O. plays on a broken leg or ankle or whatever the hell it was, and nobody thinks that he's going to be able to perform, and nobody thinks Philadelphia's going to be in that game, and they are. And they win, does New England, 24-21. When they beat Carolina, defensive special. Obviously, they won that game 32-29. That's the game Jake
That was
Delhomme.
OT, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or was it prevent OT?
Yeah, it's what prevents it. Delhomme plays so well. We would have never guessed that, by the way.
That freaking guy. Boy, I didn't like Carolina in those years.
No. But when they beat St. Louis, it was 20-17.
Yeah.
So basically, New England is always on the verge of losing, always on the cusp of tasting defeat and you getting rid of them finally in a big moment. But they almost always win the game. And you had no doubt yesterday when it got to 20-17, they were going to win the game.
They're ahead on the scoreboard. Doesn't tell you the truth.
They're
crazy. Winning the game.
Yeah, you check those stupid win probability charts then.
Yeah.
I think I saw somebody posted somewhere.
Somebody sent me one.
That was really high. It was like Jacksonville was like 90+%. And you're like,
Correct.
that's why those things are ridiculous because they don't take into account who is playing quarterback on the other sideline.
Right. Yeah. Well, and the problem is, the decisive drive, they have the ball because they got to stop. Jacksonville does get one more stop.
Yeah.
And then they have the ball deep in their own territory. And they run the ball on first down in that situation. That's a drive you pointed to and say, if you really want to give yourself a fighting chance,
you got to let him throw the ball there.
Well, you had to on second and third down. You have no choice in that moment. It's 2nd and 11. A first down, just one is paramount in this situation. So in that sense, they did try, but 20-17. That's the drive. There's 12 minutes to go and you're up 10. They don't have Gronk. They've rushed for 2 yards at carry at best. You've turned it over. They haven't. You go the distance to make it 2017.
I feel for Jags fans today. I said it earlier. I'll say it again if you're just tuning in. I'd feel for you today, man. You did almost everything right. I do feel like the second half there was a sense of you were more afraid of your own quarterback than you were of theirs. But trusting that defense isn't the worst thing in the world. Blake played well enough to win the game, and yet it's just that other dude, man. When it's all on the line, those throws are going to be made. Yeah, no doubt. By the way, give Amendola credit. We kid, but dude came up huge. Think about this.
There was the catch on the drive where he had to adjust to the ball that's thrown behind him too.
Yeah,
and that's 100-mile-an-hour football coming at him, and he adjusts to the ball and makes a big catch in a big situation where it's going to be probably picked, or at least there's a good chance it would be picked.
Well, and all of this happens in a second half where they don't have their number one weapon in Gronk, and so now you can ratchet up, and this is already a team that can really cover in in Jacksonville. You can ratchet up the pressure. You don't have to worry about Gronk, and presumably if you shut down Cooks and Amendola, or even somewhat shut them down, you're going to win the game, and Brady's still making those throws. And give Brandon Cooks credit. He was responsible for both the pass interference being drawn.
Yeah.
I know you can take issue with one, but nonetheless, his speed is a huge difference maker on this team because he stretches the field. And if they did not pick him up in the offseason, that's a problem. He has, 100 yards, 98 yards receiving, 6 receptions. He's a big deal for them. It's just not an accident that these guys who are good to average at one locale go to another and become it's that guy.
Well, there's also a fear of letting somebody down and a standard, right? I mean that's part of winning too, and you don't have to be, the all-time greats in order for that to be the truth. You see it with a team that's borderline and doesn't make the NCAA tournament, or a team that's borderline and doesn't make the playoffs, or whatever it is. And then the difference of a team that says, no, that's not going to happen to us because we hold each other to a certain standard. When you get to New England, it's not just about you become a robot mouthpiece for Bill Belichick, talking about doing your job and preparing and all that kind of stuff. Man, when it comes to details, more times than not, they make those extra detail plays. Again, like adjusting on a football, getting both feet down in bounds. They find, as Jimbo would love to say, 87 times this year, they find the Al Pacino inches.
They find the inches, but they also execute under the most amount of pressure, and they do not let it affect them. There is always a calm, and that, again, stems from a quarterback who's been there, done that, achieved, and has a special ability to remain hyper-focused in the most intense set of circumstances. I sometimes think, you go back to that game last year, and Falcons fans now bristle, but New England's down there, and not only do they score, but they've got to get the 2-point conversion. The part that frustrates you, and the part I do marvel at, is those little moments where it seems innocuous, but the throw on the 2-point conversion is perfectly placed.
Mm-hmm.
That's not bad what Atlanta does there defensively. No. It's not an easy 2-point conversion, and you still have to have the presence, the calmness, the ability to execute in that situation, or else all of that comebacks for naught.
Well, I think the hard thing, too, is sorting it all out, because you do need luck along the way for each of these things to work. I mean, any one of their Super Bowls, you can look back at either the win or the tuck rule before this whole chain of events got started. You need something else, some outside influence to kind of go your way. You need some luck. It didn't go their way with the Giants games, but it did.
The Tyree catch is absurd.
Right. By and large, they've had these little breaks go their way. But to me, and maybe this is the part of the aging, we talked about it earlier, aging as a fan and appreciating things. The fact that they put themselves in that position that many times.
Over and over again.
And that they do win their fair share, maybe more than their fair share. But they put themselves in that position. You know how many things you have to do right to be there all the damn time? Well, and that to me is the marvel more than how many Super Bowls he's won.
When Nebraska won 3 national championships in the span of 4 years, we all got fatigued of Nebraska to some extent, right? And there were some really lucky moments with Nebraska football. A game against Missouri, there's a kickball, and there's all this crazy stuff. And I remember at the time kind of almost recoiling every time I heard an announcer or former coach go, well, that is lucky, but they were in a position to take advantage of that play or that advantage of that good break or that good fortune. And that's what good teams do. They put themselves in a position that if something breaks right for them, they can win. And I did not, as a 25-year-old or 21-year-old, appreciate that. I didn't agree with it. I said, no, luck's luck. Screw you. That's that's happenstance. I do now. I do know that if you put yourself there enough times in a row, you're going to have it work in your favor, enough times that you're going to win championships.
There's a part of me that hates myself for saying all the cliches, though, that you heard as a kid. And even though that they are right, you're like, this is...
Well, some of them are
I feel like I've sold my soul, but it's true. You watch it and you see
some of them aren't applicable, but in that case, if you listen... The catches and the tip passes and the weird things that have to happen and all the other stuff that we talk about over the years with any team, but today it's been the Patriots. What does it matter if those things occur if they're down 3 touchdowns? They have to be in the game. They have to be competitive at all times. They have to have a chance to execute to win a game. The turnover at the end of a basketball game and then Jordan comes down and hits a 3. You have to be in contention for that turnover to matter.
Sure.
It's hard to take. It's hard to take.
It wasn't hard until we talked about it.
Now you go.
Now it's hard.
Good work out of you. Good work, Matthew. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great night. Talk to you tomorrow.